Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CCA Circuit Finals. My name is Hammy. I'm here with YokoPoke. YokoPoke, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm so excited to finally get to the finale of this CCA circuit.
Yes, and I am also very, very excited to be here. Now, we have a lot of Splatoon action for you here this weekend. We're here with the Division 4 finals for the CCA circuit, but Divisions 1, 2, and 3 are already going on right now. Poke, can you tell us where they can find that Splatoon action?
So you can find Division 1 at twitch.tv/CCA_Splatoon, Division 2 at Splatoon Tourney, also on Twitch, and Division 3 on Twitch as well at Splatoon Tourney 1, as in the number 1.
And now, all of that is possible thanks to Asus ROG. With the CCA circuit action heating up, we are very excited to announce that Asus ROG is a sponsor of the CCA circuit. Their eSprouts initiative is giving the CCA circuit prizing support to our top teams for the season, and we're happy to have them join as our prizing sponsor. You can find out more about their Elite Rewards program by going to rog.asus.com/elite. Thank you to Asus ROG for their support for the collegiate Splatoon scene, and it's such a wonderful thing. Now, I'm sure all of you know we're probably a little bit late here. We had some technical difficulties. You see on the bottom, we're about to see Octos and Squids United Grey versus Undertow Dartfish battling it out here. Octos and Squids United Grey already up 1-0 as we are coming into the set a bit late. But now we can see our map list up here on the screen. So yeah, YokoPoke, we're going into Monta. We're going to Monta Tower Control. How do you feel about this map here?
I feel like that this Manta Maria Tower Control is a very good first tower map because I feel like it's not the tower map you think of first. And I think that's a really good thing to have in this kind of best of 3 format that we have in our first 2 rounds. As we're actually have the wrong map mode, we have the Rainmaker on Manta Maria. So hopefully these teams will be able to notice that and cancel the match. Sometimes they might not.
That's one of the fun things with Splatoon is, yeah, there it is.
One team completely jumping off the map. And we'll reset here to actually be on the proper mode this time.
I respect the commitment there from Octos and Squids United Grey, all jumping off the map at the same time. It's something that me and my team always try to do. It's fun to have the wipeout text pop up on screen with like frame 1 of the game. Yeah, so we'll be loading up back into the match here with the proper map and mode. It's something that happens in this game all the time. I'd like to have fun with it. But yeah, Tower Control, Manta Maria can be... It's a very interesting map. It's one that I'm very conflicted about. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. It really just depends on who you're playing with and who you're playing against, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those tower maps that once you get it past, like that, I think it's second check area, I want to say, it tends to snowball. But it's decently hard to get it to that area, so sometimes it comes down to if you can get it to that area, and sometimes which team can do it first.
And that's exactly it. The middle of the map is so open. It's this big, long strip, but getting to that second checkpoint, there's a valley. You have the bunker, you have the stage, you have like that top area, and there's so many weapons that can take advantage of that height and of those vantage points with their main weapons, their subs, and their specials. So yeah, I totally agree. Getting to that second checkpoint is so hard, but once you're in that street, it's pretty scary when you're on defense, because if you get picked off, by the time you respawn, you're probably going to get KO'd.
Yeah, I know you mentioned weapons, and I think I saw some interesting picks coming out when we saw the little glimpse last time, and we should see the same weapon choices coming out here. We see a Dynamo. I am a big fan of Dynamo because I use that on my team, and a Ballpoint on the other team, and Dually Squelchers, different kits though on both sides.
Yeah, that is a really interesting weapon to see coming from both squads, the Dually Squelchers, though each team bringing a different version. Octos and Squids United Grey bringing out the custom Dually Squelchers, so a bit different playstyles from both of them. We're going to kind of see how each of them fare in this match.
Yeah, it looks like Undertow Dartfish is going to be the one to take the first little push here. They got that pick and trying to get something off of it. Can't really find what they want. The Entry tried to get in that bunker, wasn't able to take it. Falsetto here on the Dually Squelchers, able to push him back out.
Yeah, a bit of a scramble here in the middle of the map. Both teams kind of losing a member each. We see the Jet coming out from the side of Undertow Dartfish, getting a couple picks. It's now up to the Dynamo and Octos and Squids United to try to do something. They have to run back to the street. They have to respect the numbers and stay alive to get their team back in. They may have to give up this point but they'd give up the battle.
And here comes a very E area of the map over here, trying to get, or they got it past the first check, trying to get it through that trench to the second check. They're not going to be able to do it this time. They're going to be, sorry, Octos and Squids United Gray is going to start a little bit of a counter push here. This first checkpoint is, I would say, kind of a welcome mat, as a lot of people like to describe it. They're going to break through and also break through the lead in this push.
Now we're getting to that integral second checkpoint that you alluded to earlier. Octos and Squids couldn't quite make it there again. That valley from Undertow Dartfish just preventing their ability to get in. But now, as you said, that welcome mat has been walked over by both teams. So it's really up to whoever can get those picks to get that push ready. And we do see Undertow Dartfish getting 2 members of Octos and Squids down. So they're looking to get into the street. The lead potentially coming soon. But no, 2 going down. The jetpack getting knocked out by the fish on the dynamo from Octos and Squids, and that may give them potential position to push into mid here.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of Undertow Dartfish trying to get into that OnSU bunker and being unsuccessful in that. OnSU with a very good defensive hold there. They did not give up that bunker, and that was what was able to make them stop the enemy push there. As the dynamo goes around, finds a pick in the bunker, and now it looks like OnSu's going to have a chance to push with 3 down on the side of Undertow Dartfish.
That was a big flank there, though. Splooshman walking in, only getting 1 in a trade. Not as much value as they wanted. That's what they needed to prevent that check, getting to that checkpoint. So Octos and Squids looking to take the check, and they do. The snowball could be coming. The strikes come out, but 2 members down. No one can stand at the tower. There's a bit of a scramble. The Undertow Dartfish are walking out of here with the win in that fight. Once again, the fish, the last one alive, having to escape and kind of back up, regroup with the team, and just play it slow. They got that second checkpoint, a huge milestone, but they need to make sure that they defend well enough to not let Undertow Dartfish get as good of a push.
Yeah, I would say that getting through that second checkpoint is absolutely massive, especially as we move into the later stages of this game here. Undertow Dartfish, now they tried to get it to that second checkpoint, but they didn't even touch the checkpoint. Now they're down, just trying to desperately save anything they can here. It's looking like an OnSU kind of match so far.
Yeah, we see a lot of players just looking for picks, especially the decap and the dynamo from both sides, trying to just find a position to get those one-hit kills and give their team some kind of advantage. We're seeing a lot of just back and forth trades. Each team kind of lose 1 member, maybe 2. No clear advantage states here. There's 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the match, so if you're a fan of Undertow Dartfish, you really want to see them find those picks looking for and get some advantage. And I was about to say, they need to get down that dynamo, and there they go. And now they have a chance to push in. Splooshman on the sword, dropping in, getting 2. Can they get the 3rd? There it is. They're walking through them with that decap, and this may be a huge chance for Undertow Dartfish.
Yes, been here on the decap as I was going to start gassing them up, but dies to a bomb. That was an absolutely huge triple on that decav, going to buy Undertow Dartfish another push here with only 40 seconds late in the game. But at this point, you have to wonder, does Undertow Dartfish have enough resources to push all the way through that key second checkpoint that we've been talking about over and over again that's really hard to get through?
The Inkjet getting shut down. Here comes out the bubble. They don't have a lot of great specials for pushing through tower control checkpoints. None of those traditional specials we see, like the strikes, like the booyah bombs. So they're going to have to find a new crafty way to get in here. They have gotten to the checkpoint, but they need to get through. The Inkjet from the side of Octos and Squids shutting down a lot of those kills. We see Rin now sitting on the tower with that T-Tech, trying to just buy some time, but getting run up by multiple. They all go down in one big explosion from the Splat Bomb. Only 1 member left of Octos and Squids. They need to keep this checkpoint from getting broken. Using that blaster, it's a very good weapon, and there it is. Octos and Squids United Grey able to defend the tower in that choke point, and they're going to be up 2-0 in the series.
And this series is actually best of 3, so that's going to be the set going to OnSU Grey. They're going to move on up 1-0, and of course, we have 5 rounds of Swiss here, and you're trying to win 3 to try and move on to day 2 here in the CCA Circuit finale.
Yes, it's a 2-day tournament, for those of you who don't know. So yeah, it's a bit of a different format than we're used to with some of our 1-day tournaments, where you kind of play all your Swiss matches and figure out what bracket you're into. So it's it's all been figured out by the wonderful people here at the CCA who've been working so hard to figure all this out. But yeah, that was a very good match. It was fairly close. Again, Undertow Dartfish getting to that second checkpoint. They were at the point they needed to win. They just needed to stand on it longer. But Octos and Squids United Grey had the resources to win that fight. They had some of the specials to hold that ground. They had a lot of weapons that can just get a lot of picks very quickly, and that Rapid Blaster was a very important piece at the end there.
Yeah, I think a big thing at the end there as well was that Undertow Dartfish struggled to push kind of ahead of that tower checkpoint. It seemed to me like watching through that they were struggling just a little bit to get in front of the tower enough so they could actually secure that second checkpoint, and that was the difference maker, because had they broken that second checkpoint, the lead was right there and they would have swapped.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We saw some points where Splooshman on the decav was able to get past the tower and get multiple kills, but it was when the tower was in Undertow Dartfish's half of the map. They needed to do that on the offense and really just have the ability to walk through and just, yeah, as you say, yeah, just get those picks and get that checkpoint, because they didn't need that many points to win, but that's how it goes sometimes. Octos and Squids were playing very strong, so, they were a very strong contender to take that match, and yeah, taking the set 2-0. So again, congratulations, Octos and Squids United Grey and Undertow Dartfish. They're not out. This is round 1. There's still a whole day ahead of them, and potentially a day 2 ahead of them. So excited to see how both these teams are going to be playing for the rest of the day.
Yeah, but speaking of stuff ahead of us, we have more rounds coming. We're going to hop over to just a quick little break, and we're going to come back at you real soon with round 2 of Swiss.
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore. Break away, forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway. And cancel the cruise control. Switch it in the manual. Don't you wanna feel right? Full steam through the setbacks. You can't win them all, but I'm proud I tried. I'm glad we had a dialogue. It's good to shape the mind. Speeding up the pace, turning up the heat. Where I need to be for the first time. I'm taking risks, I'm casting off without a lifeline. Break away, forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway. And cancel the cruise control. Switch it in the manual. Don't you wanna feel right again? Don't you wanna feel whole? Don't you wanna feel?
Welcome back, everyone, to the CCA Circuit Finals. We are here with Division 4 Swiss Round 2. The next match we have coming for you is a bit of an awkward one for us to commentate. High Tide Terps versus High Tide. High Tide Terps being from the University of Maryland, College Park, and High Tide being from the University of Alabama. Now, Poke, you were talking a little bit about some of these teams. Maybe you know a bit more about me, because I'm a washed-up old Canadian who's not in college, so I don't know much about these two teams, but you seem to know a little bit.
So I believe that this exact head-to-head happened in one of the qualifiers. It eludes me which qualifier, but I do believe High Tide Terps was able to come out on top of that head-to-head matchup before. So, on paper, they seem to be favored. They're also the higher seed in this this current finale here, but seeds at the end of the day don't mean anything. When especially High Tide is here as a wild card, they are the last wild card actually here in Div 4, so they earn their way not through just their raw placements, but they earn their way because people thought that they deserved to be here.
Exactly, that's
hop into game 1.
Yeah, and that's the point of those wildcards. They're here to spice up, mix things up, going into this first match. High Tide Terps in the orange, High Tide in the blue. Let's see what kind of weapons they want to bring for us in game 1.
With the Hydra coming out on the side of High Tide, I mean, Hydra, High Tide, I think it fits.
Now, what I want to look at, we're seeing another custom dually squelchers. We saw one earlier in our last set, so it seems like a popular pick today, which is kind of interesting because it's not something you typically see in competitive Splatoon. So I'm kind of liking the new weapons, the fresh takes, a bit of that diversity. Yeah, both these teams looking pretty confident with their weapon picks. A lot of weapons. I feel like they've played a lot to practice and get ready for this. A very aggressive position from the Hydra, from the Terps, throwing a Booyah Bomb already, just only 35 seconds into the match, trying to cause some dispersion, let their team get in here, and both teams just looking for an opportunity to maybe get some picks, maybe get a push.
I really respect that play from the Hydra, just pushing up as far as they can, because Hydra's one of those weapons that if the other team doesn't know how to deal with it, people will just walk into it and let the Hydra just demolish a team. And I really like the little test there of, hey, do you guys know what happens if you have a Hydra? You know what happens if you walk into it?
Yeah, having a Hydra behind you is always very, very comforting, that you know that they're going to be able to put out a lot of high DPS behind you. That Booyah Bomb coming in, trying to get a push in. The decaf does go down, but they do get the ball in from the NZAP. So 2 members down from High Tide Terps, but they do get that push going, and that's what they were looking for. High Tide trying to clean up a little bit, getting 3 members of the Terps down, and hopefully looking to make a counter push right now. We see Blaster kind of pushing up a bit. They want to try to get a good footing because they need to break past 68, which if they can get 2 power clams, they can very easily do, but they're going to need to get that clam economy, and they're going to need to get the positioning.
Yeah, I will note that High Tide does have a fair amount of clams in their possession already. Their Zap has built the ball, and before that Range Blaster had gone down just a second ago, they had a lot of supporting clams, but the Zap tries to get in, not going to be able to. The other teammates will be able to pick up that ball, but not quite what they probably wanted in that scuffle there.
Now, High Tide, once again, they're trying to kind of find something here, getting in an awkward position. They're able to get out just barely, they're kind of maneuvering through the ink. Pro Swimmer trying to paint up a little bit. They have 2 team members down, so they want to just play it cool, try to play a bit of a more supportive role for a little bit with that end zap and just kind of paint out. The Kraken coming in from Apollo on the side of High Tide, trying to just clear people out, unable to get any picks, unfortunately, getting flanked but not dying thanks to some support from their teammates. Once again, both teams just kind of picking off members one by one, and again, High Tide need a good position here. The Terps are slowly just kind of buying time. 2 minutes left in the match. They're just kind of stalling this out, and there, unfortunately, is a DC from the High Tide Terps that could be very, very bad for them.
Oh, and before the DC, I was just going to mention how this the map that we're playing on, we didn't get a chance to talk about it at all, but Inkblot does tend to be a map that it is decently hard to form a push on. I found that a lot of teams, they tend to either funnel into this ramp area or that other slick area, and sometimes they can get caught in that little bit of a choke point and aren't able to quite get the push they want. And so far, we had been seeing for a lot of this match that High Tide wasn't able to quite get their push together. But now with the unfortunate DC, looks like they actually won't be able to get the balls in that they want. And actually High Tide Terps with only 3 players defend decently well.
Ellie Bones is the last one alive, able to get a couple of picks, trying to hold on for dear life. If High Tide Terps right now, there's a minute left, you're in the lead, you're down a member, you just have to play your best defense you possibly can and prove that you are here to win. High Tide need to take advantage of the fact that they have this numbers, but as you said, it's hard to push here. The bombing too! It's so hard to push on this map. You need to have the special, or you need to have a flank route. You need to get up on that side, the plastic route, like on that ramp. You need to try to get through up into the bats. There's alternate routes, but you need to find those opportunities, and the High Tide Terps are not giving them.
I think the High Tide Terps are doing a very, very good job of kind of just chilling on their plat and not allowing High Tide to come in easily here. Even just like trading them out going on their plat. As they, it looks like High Tide's going to finally be able to get the numbers down, get the balls in, and finally able to take that lead back. Honestly, very, very good job by the High Tide Terps of defending for so long in this match despite the DC. But unfortunately for them, it's looking like High Tide is going to wrap this one up with a victory.
Yeah, the overtime has started. Skellybones needs to keep them from getting a single clam in from the overtime. The basket closes. High Tide Terps need to get a push very, very quickly here. They do have the P clam, but even after breaking, they still need a handful of clams to get that lead back. But there's not enough time to get to that basket to break, and yeah, that's going to be the game for High Tide. Very unfortunate for High Tide Terps, but they prove that they can play very, very strong, even at a disadvantage. So this set isn't over yet.
Yeah, I think, honestly, it kind of felt like High Tide stole it just a little bit there. Of course, we can play the life game all day about, like, oh, what if the DC didn't happen? but the defense on the side of High Tide Terps was pretty great there. They were able to fend High Tide off for a very long time, despite being down numbers for the entire match, or after the DC, of course.
Yeah, impressive work from High Tide Terps, as you say, just defending at a disadvantage and getting a lot of those picks. You know, we kept being like, oh, this is where the push happens. This is where High Tide's going to take the lead. And no, they would even with one member alive, they could shut it down. Again, I mentioned a few times, Skelly Bones on that slosher was usually the last one alive, but still able to hold down the fort. So a very commendable effort. But as I said, that's not the set. It's still a best of 3. High Tide Terps are now on the ropes to have to win the next 2 matches in a row, but it's still very doable because they just showed us just how strong they are.
Yeah, we're still in best of 3 territory here. It's only round 1 and 2 that are best of 3. But of course, if you're High Tide Terps here, you're a little nervous because, you know, you were able to hold that defense for such a long time there, but High Tide was still able to take that game and put that point on the big scoreboard at the end, and any little slip up here, especially on like a zones map like Hagglefish Market that we're going to next, could spell doom.
Yeah. Now, this is a map where that defense from High Tide Terps can come very in handy because Splat Zones is a very, very quick mode. If you can instantly capture the zone, and if you can defend really well, that clock's going to tick down very, very fast. So High Tide Terps potentially looking to just get a quick KO in this match to settle the score and go right to game 3. High Tide, they need to find a solution to High Tide Terps' defense. They need to find a way in. They need to use those flank routes, they need to use those specials, and they need to work together.
Absolutely. As we're going to hop right into this zone's Hagglefish game, High Tide up 1-0, and you have to wonder, what is their solution to take this second game?
We see our players coming in. We see the Dread Ringer on the side of High Tide with the Reef Slider. That could be one of those solutions I was talking about, getting through that defense. And we also see a Vanilla Nautilus coming in from Stainless on the side of High Tide Terps. So, a couple of switch-ups here, both of them definitely map and mode specific. Now we're going to have to see who gets this first cap and who starts to fight.
Yeah, I will note, I saw at the very beginning of that match, the Dreadringer is wearing 2 mains of quick respawn, so they are going to absolutely let these resliders rip. But I am not a Dreadringer player, so I don't know exactly how much special power up you might need, as they do the zone with the rider there, and do survive for just that some continual sloshes. A lot of things just being thrown onto the zone, a lot of flips back and forth here early in this match.
Now, one thing to point out is that the High Tide Terps do have a fairly good call for taking that zone back. So even though the Reef Slider can take the zone, it's very easy to get it back. So it's good to give a penalty, but it's not great to give your team a lead. So the High Tide's definitely going to want to have control and get a lead. But right now, High Tide Terps are counting down that timer, already down 61 points. See Lime throwing in a couple of strikes here to get High Tide in, and they do get in. 2 members of High Tide Terps are down, and High Tide now looking to take the map.
Yeah, now High Tide Terps here going 3 down now, has to regroup, has to not get too antsy here because, of course, it's very common to get kind of scared when the other team is up in the set and suddenly has the zone on a map like Hagglefish, which could potentially get locked out. Looks like they're regrouping pretty successfully here, already contesting the zone well, trying to use their specials, anything they can finally find here. Got that Zap player down, and 2 down right after it. They're going to flip the zone right back in their favor.
Now, one thing to note is that High Tide Terps have lost the lead. So High Tide is in the position I was alluding to earlier, that if they can get that Reef Slider in, they can take the zone. But the Reef Slider getting picked off by Cynic Apple with that Hydra that will get High Tide Terps the lead as the Reef Slider was dead. And now, once again, they're back in a very strong position. They have 2 Splatlings, high DPS weapons to keep out the opposing side. As I said, that both of them go down. Lime walking in with his Charger and just not even playing like a backliner, just saying, no, I'm here, I'm going to get these picks. And just both teams right now getting a lot of picks now. High Tide back in control thanks to that push-up. Bones looking to get an opportunity here, get some strikes ready, get their team back in, and High Tide Terps, they want to get this zone back before they get it a penalty.
Yeah, well, that was actually very well played by Skellybones. I saw the kind of like wanting to push up and make a hero play there, but smartly hangs back, charges the strikes, gets the team back in, and High Tide Terps immediately pretty much have the zone back in control. They're going to eat away at this penalty very, very quickly. But as I say that, a pick on the zone will flip it right back. But this zone is just not being held by like either team really huge in respect.
Lime is hitting a lot on that ZF Charger, playing fairly far forward compared to what you might expect from a lot of Charger players, so we're gonna have to see High Tide Terps kind of take advantage of that and try to get the picks before they can start getting sniped off. Both teams fighting in mid, High Tide Terps getting the advantage with the numbers, taking zone, making sure they don't lose the lead, going down a couple members though, down to some bombs, and just a bit of a chaos in the mid here with only a minute and 20 seconds left. Both teams are just trying to vie for control and get a lockout because they both want to win this match desperately.
Yeah, I would note of the timer at the top of the screen here, because these teams have been flipping these zones so commonly that it feels like, you know, most of the time has been spent eating away at penalty points instead of the things on the top of the scoreboard. And at this point, unless one of these teams can get a hold, like, right now, this match is probably not going to go to KO.
Hollow barely staying alive from those strikes after sliding in, does get the zone for their team. High Tide, only 10 points left of penalty. They're fairly close to taking the lead, but they need to keep the zone capped. The jumps coming in from High Tide Terps, they need this zone. They know that all they have to do is stay alive and paint. That is their win condition, is live and paint. High Tide Terps need to get the picks. They need to find a way to get in. I want to see that Reef Slider go past the zone and go for some picks. I think they need to play aggressive and confident if they want to take this match with 23 seconds left.
Yes, you absolutely cannot just sit back and let High Tide Terps approach back into you, because if you do let them do that, then they're just going to keep flipping this zone back and forth. You're not going to be able to eat these penalty points, and of course, if you're not able to eat your penalty points off, you won't be able to eat the big scoreboard off. But High Tide is going to look like they're going to have the zone here going into overtime. Just a few points separate them from the lead here. But if High Tide Terps have anything to say about it, they're throwing everything they possibly can. The Booyah goes past the zone, just trying to get this cap. Only one member alive, and High Tide Terps will take that zone and take the game. We're going to game 3.
An unfortunate scramble if you're a fan of High Tide. They couldn't keep that zone going in overtime. High Tide Terps just kept throwing everything they had and just relentless against High Tide. But again, we saw a lot of good plays there from High Tide. I kind of alluded to seeing some kills from those Reef Sliders. At the very end, we saw the Reef Slider slide in, kill the Nautilus player. Lime walked in with that ZF Charger, able to get another pick, and that got them in for the overtime. They just couldn't hold out, unfortunately, for them.
I feel like one of the big things I saw in that match was that High Tide did answer the question of if they could win, even without the DC advantage that they had in Game 1. Even though they did lose that match, it was really close. Down to the wire, down to literally the last interaction of the game. I think this next upcoming Game 3 is a toss-up completely at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It was down to a couple of points in overtime. Like, that could have been anyone's game. You know, one shot in the wrong place, one little bit of paint too far to the left or right, it could have gone anywhere. But yeah, our final match of this best of 3 of High Tide versus High Tide Terps going to Mako Mart Tower Control. Very snowbally map. If they can get in, it's going to be deadly. So you're going to need to be able to defend your side of the map. We've seen the High Tide Terps are very good at their defense, though High Tide did show us in zones that they know how to hold their own. So it could be anyone's match.
I feel like a big thing that I see a lot on Mako Tower is when the tower gets past that first checkpoint and tries to go kind of perpendicular to the map along to that second checkpoint, a lot of teams either struggle to get through that little that area to get to that next checkpoint, or they absolutely excel in that. And that's a big test that I'm always looking for whenever I see Mako Tower.
Yeah, you see, Mako Tower is one that I'm not a fan of personally. It's a very you see. Here's why I play Reslider here, and it's great, but there's also a lot of geometry that is scary. And so I'm thinking about that Dreadringer player on the side of High Tide, and thinking like this could work out really good if they can get it to work, but it can be scary. And there's a lot of weapon picks here that could be very interesting coming into this match. We're going to see how both teams decided they want to play this, and hopefully one of them has come up with a solution to kind of prove that they're the one coming in. We see I believe it's the vanilla Dually Squelchers this time instead of the custom ones. And yeah, so we see some Kraken coming up from Lime instead of the Strikes. A very interesting change up for Tower.
Yeah, the Kraken leader is an interesting pick because you can't really cheese Tower with Kraken because any little hit will just bat the Kraken off with a ton of knockback. But Kraken is pretty good at clearing the tower if the other team is pushing, because, of course, it's invincible.
Now, what I'm also curious with is High Tide Terps bringing in Chumps and Rain. They're bringing in a lot of large area specials that aren't central, like aren't very specific. Skeleton's getting 2 there on that Dynamo actually, but yeah, it's an interesting that they're focusing less on the tower and more on map control. This could be their ticket to win this match, whereas High Tide they are focusing a bit more on specials that will work with that tower.
Yeah, I do think sometimes focusing too much on how your special interacts with the tower is a little bit of a pitfall that some teams can fall into. And sometimes you do want those area of effect specials that can just clear the area in front of the tower, because of course, if you hold the area of the tower, then there's nothing to contest the tower, and you'll get them points that you need.
And I'm also looking at the offense. We see here that first checkpoint that High Tide's going through now. If High Tide Terps go there, they can throw those chumps in that Ink Storm up onto the plat and push back the opposing team while trying to take that first checkpoint. So this could work out great in their favor if they're able to get a push, but they need to get there first. There goes those chumps on the plat. As I mentioned, Skellybones getting a pick by ledge camping, though. They do have 2 members down. It's just the Hydra, just the Dynamo. They need to find something here, but they're very large, slow weapons. So it's not a great combination to work on there.
Yeah, it looks like High Tide going to be able to push High Tide Terps back out without dropping that checkpoint. That's going to be pretty huge because letting that checkpoint drop is something that you do not want to see on defense, of course. This Kraken's going to come out here. Probably should have found the pick, but it looks like the Strike finished him off first. And smartly, so that leader can go set back for more sniping action.
Double Rex getting on the tower, trying to move to that checkpoint, but getting picked off. Only 1 member left of High Tide Terps, but they are pushing up. Pro Swimmer very confident here in their positioning, able to not get picked off and buy their team some time to get back in. Now, both teams ready to go on each side. The High Tide pushing in now. High Tide Terps having to walk back a little bit. Neither team getting past the checkpoint, and we're now halfway through the match. So this may come down to whichever team can break checkpoint 1.
Yeah, at this point, there's been a lot of kind of carnage in mid as we see 3 players go down on both sides. Right as I say it, neither team has really been able to get that foothold that they really, really want to try and get past that first checkpoint and further. So as a result, these points on the top of the scoreboard are very low as this timer on the top is also ticking down very, very quickly.
Both teams are kind of a solution here. Cynic Apple taking a very aggressive setup here as 2 members of High Tide are down. Stainless walking forward, trying to clear out this left side because they want to get the tower to this first checkpoint. Soda's coming out, Double Rex trying to set up for their team, but on the other side of the map, so they need to get to that right side before High Tide Terps can get through this checkpoint. They're trying to pick off the support, and both teams going down 2 members. Can they get through this checkpoint? Pro Swimmer getting on the tower, very close, but not quite enough. Getting traded out by the Dually Squelchers. Now, line to defend this tower with the Charger, close to a Kraken, to be able to get on there and try to cheese it a little bit. There it comes out. Are they going to go for the tower or going for picks? They're going to go for picks, it looks like. Trying to be aggressive, trying to go for that jump. Will the Kraken last long enough? No, they couldn't get the pick, and now they're in a very awkward spot going down. 2 members of the Terps down, 1 member of the High Tide down, and a wipeout, actually! High Tide might take the tower!
This is absolutely gigantic for High Tide. We've been talking so far about how these teams have been like a deadlock. They haven't really been able to break through each other's defenses. And this is the first time we've seen that full wipeout. And now High Tide is snowballing this all the way to checkpoint 2. It's just the Hydra alive on the side of High Tide Terps. Checkpoint 2 drops. and suddenly this is looking like a very, very high-tide match.
Out of nowhere, a slight misposition from High Tide Terps led to a wipe that lost the 2 checkpoints and almost a third one. With 20 seconds left, they have to get something going. Skellybone's getting a double kill, getting chased by the Kraken, but they need to find a way to stagger High Tide and manage to get a push all the way to the 3rd checkpoint. By the time the tower gets back to the middle, overtime's going to start with only 5 seconds left. So this needs to be the most insane overtime push of their lives if they want to win this set.
And here come the GG strikes to secure this set for High Tide.
Man, I set High Tide Terps up for this like big, awesome like story. No, just strikes. Nope. It's over. GG. Yeah. I tried to hype them up, but yeah, those GG strikes. Again, High Tide had a lot of those specials that were focused on the tower, whereas High Tide Terps were bringing out some of those specials that were more map focused. So High Tide does take that over High Tide Terps 2-1. Now, on the screen right now, you are seeing our modified Swiss bracket for the CCA finals. As you can see, in Division 4, we have 16 teams going into round 1, and then it gets broken up as you go from there. You can kind of see the graphic being shown here. So yeah, in all those, you can see all the team logos of all the teams that have been playing so far. We have just finished round 2, going into round 3. And yeah, again, there's so much effort has been going into this event, trying to get everything to work out. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, and the match that we saw, I believe I see that in that lower 0-1 category. I believe I see that top match was the match that we just saw. So the High Tide Terps, I believe, are going to move down to 0-2. And at this point, they need to win every single set that they play if they want to make it to day 2, because you need to get 3 wins in 5 rounds here to move on to day 2. And if you take that 3rd loss, you're out.
Exactly. Yes, as you said, that is the way this works. Is if you win 3 games, you go to day 2. If you lose 3 games, you are out, and that is it. So again, High Tide now going 1-1, a bit more comfortable of a position, but still like they want to go a little bit higher. But High Tide Terps on the ropes now, 0-2. They're gonna need to find something if they want to stay in the CCA finals this time around. But that being said, I believe we're going to be going to a very quick break as we're going to be getting ready for round 3 of Swiss for Division 4 of the CCA finals. Don't go anywhere. We're going to see you very, very soon.
likely to just like steamroll.
Yeah. Welcome back, everyone, to the CCA Finals for Division 4. We are coming into Swiss Round 3. Now, this is where the best of 5 is starting. Every team needs to win 3 times if they want to go to Day 2. So we have Clark Coy from Clark University versus Drexel Gold Splatoon from Drexel University, and the winner of this match is going to be going guaranteed to Day 2.
And speaking of Day 2, I think we have to talk about how we might be a little biased here, because we have been doing fantasy picks. The CCA has been really great. That they've been doing pick'ems, and one of these teams is on my pick'ems to go to Day 2, and the other one is on yours.
Yeah, we were talking about this behind the scenes. On my fantasy pick'ems, I'm expecting Drexel Gold to be going to Day 2, and Poke has decided that Clark Coy is going to Day 2. So a little bit of a feud back here. We're going to see which of us is smarter and funnier and better and more awesome as a person, because that's how you determine that, is watching Collegiate Splatoon. And that being, speaking of watching Collegiate Splatoon, once again, I want to shout out Asus for sponsoring this entire event. We have 4 streams, 32 commentators, all kinds of awesome production people in the background doing amazing things. And the only way we could make this possible is to convince the players to play. And they want money. So Aces ROG is giving us the prizing for the players through the eSprouts initiative. And we are so excited to be working with Asus. Once again, you can go to their Elite Rewards program at rog.asus.com/elite. Thank you once again to Asus ROG. We appreciate it so much in this mostly grassroots community. It helps us so much. Now, looking at this match coming up, again, best of 5, so we're going to see a lot longer of a match. Both of these teams have made it through 2 rounds of Swiss. Going into Rainmaker on Scorch Gorge right away, this one can be interesting because the 2 routes you can take for a push are very different.
Oh yes, absolutely, and this is a map where if you can get a hold after you break that checkpoint, then you can absolutely just shove that Rainmaker into the enemy base and have that point at the top of the scoreboard go down incredibly quickly. I've seen a lot of Scorch Gorge matches come down simply to who happened to run the Rainmaker further after the checkpoint.
Yeah, now here, okay, let's see here. Poke, when you play Scorch Rain, where are you going? You going left or right?
I'm going right. I'm going up the ramp. I think that area is a lot easier to hold and make an actual solid continuous push on, but I will not completely discard the left. I think that the left is something that catches people off guard a lot.
Yeah, you see, I always go right, but I'm a left believer. I think that people don't push left enough. I think that there is merit to confuse the opponent. You make it look like you're going right, and then last second you push it across that grate, you push it across the bridge, and you get that left checkpoint, because they're just not ready for it. It's hard to rotate. If they get set up in the correct positions, they aren't in a position to go left. So maybe we'll see one of these teams try to do something like that, but realistically, yes, we'll see those right side pushes, and as we're getting into the match, we're going to see exactly how they're going to want to do it through the next 5 minutes, or maybe shorter.
Yeah, we're going to see some of their lovely weapon comps coming out, including the well string on one side and a well string on the other side. I was going to talk about how unique of a weapon that is, and you don't normally see it nowadays, but it's on both sides and both different kits as well.
Yeah, but it is Rainmaker. It is a very strong weapon when it comes to objects and shields, and popping that Rainmaker quickly is very important if you want to get a good push. When you get a team wipe or even 3 down, you need to pop and grab the Rainmaker as soon as you can to take advantage of how little time you have to really get a good push going. Both teams are just kind of setting up in mid. We see the Sodas coming out for Drexel. Now, any team can really take this. They just need to find a couple of picks. Cartoons getting a pick on Weird One, but getting picked off themselves. Both teams now, actually, grab the Raker. Drexel's getting pushed back just a little bit. A bit of a stagger coming out here as Rossum gets 3 picks. Though the Rainmaker did go down, they have to pop and grab again, and they're taking it across the bridge.
There's that left side that you had mentioned so often. It didn't quite work out for them there that time, but it's looking like Clark Coy is going to break the right checkpoint now. They're going to have this hold at the top of this checkpoint area, which is very scary for Drexel.
2 members down on each side. Ramen Water trying to lay out some paint, was unable to. The Rainmaker got grabbed, though they did minimize the push, which is very important. Sometimes it's not about preventing the grab, sometimes it's about just letting the opponent get as little points as possible so you have less to worry about later on your own push. Now, the Rainmaker grabbed again by Clark Coy. They're running it down, getting it to 42, a bit scarier of a number. Ramen Water, last one alive on Drexel, have to back up. They throw out their Wave Breaker, though a lot of points getting scored by Clark Coy in just utter chaos here in their base.
Yeah, and thankfully for Drexel, they were able to stop that push at 20, but it's only been 2 minutes, and Clark Coy has been absolutely swinging for the fences early in this match.
Yeah. Now, Drexel they have a lot of work ahead of them. 2 minutes 48 on the clock. They need to get past 20 points, and they still haven't even gotten a single point on the board yet. Definitely doable, but they're going to need to coordinate, they're going to need to work together, and they're going to need to get a lot of picks. Meat there on this roller, just trying to clear out some space. There goes the bubble, giving their teammates room to move up, and they do get a pick with that position, but 2 members going down simultaneously on Drexel, and Clark Coy are trying to defend this position, and with that hammer throw taking out the Rainmaker, I think they're going to.
Yeah, it looked like Drexel was really ready to start pushing there, but of course you can't really anticipate 2 of your members going down at the exact same time. That's what Clark Coy was able to do to them to completely halt that push. And that little mid-scramble there that didn't really result in anything changing on the top of the scoreboard shaved another minute off the clock.
Clark Coy once again trying a bit of a push going. They don't even have to go for points. They just have to make it awkward for Drexel. With only 1 member left alive, just the roller, just the team trying to respawn, get into position. Weird One holding the Rainmaker, just buying time, does go down. Drexel getting a bit of space now, but they're still not able to flush Clark Coy out of their base fully. Now, we didn't talk about it much, but both of these teams, are, other than the Wellstrings, are running very aggressive comps that can fight really well. So neither team is really getting a huge advantage in those fights just because of how those comps are laid out.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this point in the match, I'm starting to just kind of think, does Drexel have answers in this Rainmaker match? Because you mentioned how aggressively these weapons want to play, how much they want to be taking hits. And pretty consistently, Clark Coy has been winning the greater fights. Yeah, sure, Drexel has been able to get a good amount of picks off on them, and they're finally putting together, it looks like, a push of their own right now. But Coy has just been winning the greater fights, and Drexel needs to find the answers right now with only 40 seconds left in the match.
Things getting dicey for Drexel, kind of getting spread out a little bit in a lot of orange hate. They need to get more on the ground. Only 1 member left on both sides. Robin Water holding the Rainmaker, just trying to clear some space, buy some time for their team to jump back in, because with 25 seconds left, they still need to break first checkpoint and get all the way to 20. Going down inside of the bubble is not how you want to see it. The pop getting the other member, and now Rossum grabbing to try to stall it, but getting picked by the Zuka from Cartoons. They need to pop this Rainmaker. They do get overtime because Clark Coy grabbed, but Drexel are not in a great position, getting wiped out, and that's going to be the game for Clark Coy.
An absolute statement win early in this set for Clark Coy. It felt like they were in control for the entirety of that match. Drexel wasn't even able to get that first checkpoint, and at this point, you have to go into game 2, hope that Drexel's able to reset, go to a different mode, and maybe have a different game.
Well, and exactly that. We're in a best of 5 now. That game 1 is less important than in a best of 3. When you're in a best of 3, you have to now reverse sweep immediately. Like there's no safety net. But Drexel now have a little bit of leeway. Obviously, they have to win 3 times. Well, Clark Coy need to win 2 more, but there's a lot more opportunity to prove yourself and to show that you're the best team. Now, that being said, we will be going into our next match, and we'll get to kind of see how Drexel wants to run it on Clam Blitz Museum d'Alfonsino.
I feel like this on paper, as I'm thinking about it on a very basic level, favors the kind of playstyle that we saw from Clark Coy in this head-to-head. Because we saw both of these teams just trying to fight each other a lot. And I feel like this big pit that you find in Museum and Mid tends to favor people who win fights, obviously. And I feel like Drexel is kind of, it's the ball's in their hands right now. They need to change something about what they're doing if they want to win on a map like this.
Now, one thing that I will point out is that I do believe that Drexel, I think they have the better comp when they can get in. I think that with that roller, with the bubble, with that Zuka, like assuming that both teams are keeping the same comp, of course, I think Drexel, once they're on the plat, they can have the better fight. But yeah, as you mentioned, the problem is getting that opportunity to get into the opposing side's base. Clark Coy is going to make it very, very difficult to get through mid.
Yeah, I think that entire first match, we kind of saw that Clark Coy was able to win fights to the extent that they didn't really need to worry about what you said about the Drexel comp being able to set up very well on a push, and I completely agree with you with that. Their comp would be very, very strong if they're able to get that push going, but until that they can prove that they can win the team fight and get that push going, I think Clark Coy is just kind of chilling.
Now, if there's one thing I know about competitive Splatoon, it's that no matter how much you play it and how much you know about it, you're always going to be wrong because something's always going to happen. And that's the fun part of being a commentator, is we're always going to be wrong. So it's all up to Drexel and Clark Coy now to have the plays. We see a pencil coming in from one side, a ZF charger coming in from the other. A bit of a change up of how they're running their backline here.
Yeah, I think that pencil is a really good play here from Clark Coy, especially against the Drexel roller, because of course the roller wants to have paint to move around in, and the pencil will be able to just spread paint anywhere it really wants to.
Now, I'm a fan of the ZF charger from Drexel, though, because the strike's able to get them in. I mean, Clark Coy have a strike of their own, so Drexel sees the value in that and are bringing it with their backline. Now, both teams just trying to fight in mid. People going down left and right. A little bit of a scramble. Now, Drexel's on their own plat, just trying to hold out. We see someone trying to take the cut there on the side, getting pushed into a corner, and does get taken out. Drexel now, actually, with the map control, they have paint up. Meat Bear going in with this roller, trying to back up the power clam, going in to get picks with the strikes, get picked off though, gets the ball down, might give the team a bit of room to move, a scramble to get the ball in, they do get it, but they get wiped. That might not have been worth it, as now Clark Coy is going in for the kill.
Yeah, that was a very, very aggressive push there from Drexel. I think that might have been just a little too aggressive. They did score that ball, but they did themselves out. And now Clark Coy is able to get on their plat, not for free, of course, but this gal is very, very scary where they are. As the ball throw misses from Clark Coy, though, but another ball is going to come in, and Spear there is going to be able to pick up the second ball, dunk that as well, and the lead will swap strongly in favor of Clark Coy.
That done very poorly. It did work out for Clark Coy, but again, Void missing that ball when Rossum was in position to get jumped to up in the top. So many power claims coming in from Clark Coy, though, because of that position from Rossum with that gal getting up into that like top great area, all the way down to 16 in less than 2 minutes. Drexel, they need to figure something out. They need economy. They need to start getting map control and potentially even get in a good position like Clark Coy just did.
I think that, by the way, that is a perfect example of why wiping is absolutely awful in this game. Because the reason that Clark Coy was able to get such a gigantic push started with the fact that they wiped out Drexel. And now we're only a halfway into this match, and now Drexel is once again in this position where they need to find an answer.
And with exactly the last half of this match in terms of time, they will have some opportunities to get in, but they need to find some picks. Cartoon's getting one, I believe, with Izuka, or one member going down, but two going down on Drexel Gold, so it seems like every time direct a pick, they also lose more after getting the kill. So they need to find a way to start skirmishing safer and not getting picked off. Void coming in very aggressively here, walking through the plat of Drexel Gold, and it seems like they can't find a here. Clark Coy are just a constant onslaught.
Yeah, and at this point, they don't even really need to score here because they have a 42-point penalty that's going to be a lot to eat through. They will dunk the power clam, and they have some clams to support it, but at this point, it's just, what do you do if you're Drexel?
They have to figure out something with only 26 points until they get knocked out. The basket is open. They do have the numbers advantage, though, with the strikes are coming in to kind of buy some time, give some space. Void going in, getting more clams. It's the top of the spinner. Just being playing like a rat in these last little bit, like getting across that plat through the cut, getting up to the top, just kind of running around the spaces that Drexel Gold aren't aware of. They're now in control of their half, but with a minute left in such a large point gap, they need to start coming up with some solutions, but it's pretty hard to think critically when you're in a position like this.
Drexel did get one of the ingredients that they needed in that push, though, which was that when Clark Koi scored there, they didn't actually shave any points off the big score. So they actually kind of gave Drexel a free pity clam, which is what they really, really need. They need so many clams to get back the lead. But first, you need to find a way to get all those clams into the basket, and you won't be able to do that if you're constantly going down, as Drexel is right now. They did find a way to get one of their members into the plat of Clark Koi. They will score one more power clam, but it's looking like they don't really have any hold, and they won't be able to score any more.
Yeah, once again, they get in and they get the ball, but they lost a couple members. It seems like Clark Koi is always at least one more player alive than Drexel. Drexel Gold needs to have players alive to really generate some of these opportunities. And with 5 seconds left, with no pity clam, I don't think they're not even going to get an overtime here. It's just going to go straight to Clark Koi.
Yeah, and we have now 2 matches in a row that have really, really felt in the favor of Clark Koi. And I've been saying it multiple times, Drexel needs to find an answer, and now that answer needs to result in a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and I think the main takeaways there, as we've kind of mentioned a couple times, is it's the positioning, it's the numbers advantage. You know, it seems like Drexel Gold, their goal is to get in, but they're not figuring out why and how they're going to be getting in. They're getting those one power clam pushes. They're going in one by one, kind of getting jumps in, and it's a bit more impatient. I feel like we're seeing Clark Koi, they're waiting for the opportunity. They're waiting for when they get that wipeout, and they're getting one good push, and they're using it with multiple routes. One person goes up, one goes right, one goes left. They know how to coordinate that push and how to kind of let it play out and how to shape it. So I think that's giving them a huge advantage. Now, Drexel Gold aren't out of it yet. Again, they're still an opportunity to win, but it has to be a reverse sweep at a best of 5. They have to like these next 3 maps and modes a lot if they're going to be able to get this win over Clark Koi.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for them, it is now best of 5 territory from here on out, so they do still have a chance as we're going to move into Zones Shipshape. This is one of those maps that I feel can be locked out, but also could be a really close match.
Indeed. Now, one thing that's interesting to note is that actually Drexel Gold is subbing out a member. So we're going to be seeing a potentially gameplay change up from them because you're going to have a new dynamic, potentially a new weapon and new playstyle because every player plays differently, communicate differently, and set up differently. So maybe that could be the answer they need to fight against Clark Koi, but at the same time, maybe they're not as warmed up with it, and there's a lot of what ifs in competitive Splatoon, and we can only do so much thinking about how things are going to play out. But as I said before, Drexel Gold, if they want to win this set and be guaranteed a spot in day 2 going 3-0, they really need to like these next maps and modes.
Yeah, I also want to reiterate that, yes, both of these teams are 2-0 in Swiss today. And of course, with the format we have here, the team that goes 3-0 here is going to get that ticket into day 2. So this potential third game, if Clark Koi can win it, will punch their ticket all the way to day 2, and then they won't even have to play any further sets as we're hopping in to this third game. Clark Koi hoping it off, Drexel hoping to stay alive.
And that's exactly the momentum you want going into day 2, is just winning all 3 of your games immediately. Now, Drexel, we see here coming in with, I believe, yeah, they have a sploosh. Interesting. And they did go back to that well string, whereas Clark Koi, they're bringing out the custom blaster with splashdown. That could be very deadly if they can get it in the right position in the zone.
Ooh, and the early pick on the Drexel Gold looks like they're going to actually win the first team fight this time. Maybe the sploosh pick, maybe it's just a complete change in mental here. They're actually kind of running over Clark Koi now. They're going to get a solid first hold as they wipe out Koi.
Drexel Gold coming in hot. They needed that mental reset. They got it. Cyanide throwing the hammer, getting the trade on the pencil with the hammer throw. Weird one throwing out some strikes to kind of buy some space, but Drexel, less than a minute, it already 40 points remain win. They are locking Clark Koi in their own spawn.
Yeah, maybe this sploosh change was the X factor that they really needed as they try to take the zone back, but once again going 2 now, 3 down. And despite they looked like Clark Coy had almost enough paint to flip it back, but they didn't have the numbers. And now this scoreboard is looking like it might tick all the way down under 5. No contesting is going to come out, and Drexel Gold will confidently take Game 3.
Now, that was exactly what I was alluding to when I said that there's only so much speculation we can do, and nothing is guaranteed in this game. Clark Coy proving that they were the strongest team in the first 2 games, and then Drexel Gold said, no, this set's going to be a little bit longer. We're going to play a little bit more, and just immediately KOing on Game 3, and like I didn't even have time to process what was going on. Cyanide on that sploosh, walking in, getting picks, throwing the hammer, taking out the pencil, just being, again, the sploosh is commonly referred to as a rat weapon, and we just saw why.
Yeah, I think that kind of a win is exactly what you wanted if you're Drexel, because that kind of a win, suddenly it feels like the momentum is in their favor. Now suddenly, if you're Clark Coy, you might be a little shaky as they just changed something pretty major about how they're playing the game, and suddenly it's working very, very well for them, as we're going to go into a map that is very easy to snowball in Sturgeon Shipyard Tower.
Now, something very important about how quick that KO was is that sometimes in Splatoon, you need to adjust. You need to learn to figure out how your opponent plays. But because that match was so quick, Clark Coy might not have enough time to adjust to how Drexel Gold just played that. So maybe going into Game 4, they still need to figure out how they're going to kind of find a solution to that sploosh they just brought in, and the return of the Wellstring as well. So, yeah, as you say, very snowbally map. This map can be very scary, and there's a lot of positions that Sploosh can get into that are kind of scary. So Clark Coy are going to need to watch their step and make sure that they're keeping an eye on all of their flanks and making sure that they can keep their distance.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very big mental task for the people on Clark Coy, because this is also now the 4th mode, of course, as we've played 4 games. And at this point, you have to stay in it mentally. If Drexel is able to come out and swing this tower match in their favor as well, Clark Coy has to remember that that 5th and final game is Rainmaker, which was a mode they won very confidently on.
But and once again, it's one of those things where maybe Scorch is their map and maybe Undertow is Drexel's map. You never know. So again, right now it's all about the mental. It's about not counting yourself out. Clark Coy know they can win, but Drexel Gold just proved that they can win. So both teams need to prepare themselves. They need to play their game that they know how to play. They're both 2-0 today. They know how to win. They've proved that they're the top of Division 4 of the CCA, and we're going to see how they're going to show us into Game 4 now. We see the Wellstring coming back from Clark Coy this time. Drexel Gold opting to not bring it back, instead going for a head it. Though also a head it coming out from Clark Coy by Weird One. So interesting comps from both sides.
Yeah, the heavy edit coming out from both. I'm a big fan of heavy edit, especially in like today's game. I think that heavy edit is a very, very solid cooler option. I feel like it's in fact a little bit underrated by some teams. I'm excited to see how it's going to play into this match. Unlike last match, not looking like Drexel's going to completely stomp over this first team fight. That sploosh going down early.
Now, what I will say though, the sploosh went side of the camera, you can see they did trade with the gal, and they're running opening gambit. So this sploosh still has opening gambit. They're running in here, Cyanide trying to find another pick. They only have 2 seconds left where opening gambit runs out. Now, I don't know if they've gotten any assists or any other kills, so they may have run out. Opening gambit is fun because you have to do the math to figure out if you're still going to be having it or not. But yeah, it's very aggressive opening from Drexel Gold that we didn't really get to see on camera, but it did get them in. They did get that first checkpoint. That is a big one. It takes a long time to get through it. Pushing to that second checkpoint already. Cartoons set up on the window. Very good position. Getting one. They're pushing all the way in by themselves. They're the only one alive, and they're just trying to spawn camp Clark Coy. The tower going back, Cartoons jumping out, like satisfied after getting those 2 glory kills, and now we're gonna see both teams resetting in the middle of the map here.
Yeah, it took just a little bit longer than it did last match, but still another big swing from Drexel Gold. This time their first push won't quite go all the way to a KO like we saw last time, but still a very, very solid start coming out from them. But here comes Clark Coy's response now. Had Drexel 2 down, going to pretty easily break through this first check and probably get many, many points more.
The hammer coming out, getting 1. The throw got blocked by the tower, unfortunately. Only 1 member left of Clark Coy. Cyanide sitting on the tower, waiting for the rest of the team to show back up. Just looking around the map, deciding where they want to run to next. Seeing this overhead, Drexel Gold not cleaning up their base, opting just to go straight in and try to get more pushes, play aggressive. Jorp now being the one going for the window, trying to paint up a bit and get in a good position. The player on the side of Clark Coy and the Greats does go down. The tower has not moved though. Both teams are fighting back and forth, but no one opted to go for the tower. This does benefit Drexel Gold. They want to stall out time now. Get second checkpoint can be difficult, so just they're sitting pretty with that score, and now they're coming in for more, but they're not too concerned. They're concerned about the here.
Yeah, and it's looking like they're going to be able to get through this huge, huge second check. And as I say that, though, it looks like they were contested. But, of course, if you don't quite ride the tower for long enough, it doesn't reset the checkpoint timer. Drexel able to take the tower just that littlest bit back, break the check, get a couple more points on top before they're finally going to be out. Cartoons just trying to fight for their life, getting out, they're getting picks. And suddenly this push is still alive in favor of Drexel Gold.
Deja vu from Cartoons, the last one alive, doesn't care, goes gets multiple kills by themselves, gives their team time to get back in, and a very, very convincing KO from Drexel Gold brings this set to a Game 5.
I can't believe that there were multiple moments in that match where I was like, yeah, this push is pretty much over, or this push is going to continue, and then both times I said that Drexel Gold did some magic that just kept what they were doing going. I just can't believe that trying to break the first check on the side of Clark Coy, and I was like, oh, this is a perfectly solid hold for them. And then the sploosh came around, swung the hammer once, and the push was over.
Yes, indeed. Now, it's interesting because, again, we saw in Game 3 that Cyanide and that sploosh just did a lot. So we were kind of focused on it. But Cartoons on that splatter shot just kept walking multiple times, was the last member alive in a 1v2 or 1v3, and just said, okay, cool, I'm a splatter shot. They just buffed it. Who cares? And just kind of walked through the team. Again, it's not just about Cartoons, though. Cyanide was still playing really good. And like Ramen Water and Jorp on those support weapons, on the head, on the zap, doing their job, getting at the paint, giving just opportunities to get in, and the team working very well together. Again, this is what they wanted. They wanted to get this reverse sweep. Now we're going into our last map. We are going to Undertow Rainmaker. This is where everything matters.
Yeah, so now the big question is, will Clark Coy be able to stop this freight train by going back to a mode that they already won on? Or will Drexel just continue what they've been doing for the past 2 games?
Yeah, exactly. It comes down to Drexel Gold have the momentum, but Clark Coy have the proof. They've shown that they can win Rainmaker. They've shown that they know how to do it. But Drexel Gold are on a streak. They made a slight comp change, made some weapon changes, and they are on a path of destruction here. But either way, the winner of this match goes to Day 2 of the CCA Circuit Finals for Div 4. They are both hungry for this win, and we're going to see exactly what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, we see the wall strings come out on both sides again. Very clearly a very good Rainmaker, as we were talking about before. Looks like one on the side of Drexel is going to immediately die to the pop, and the sploosh is going to overextend into their side as well. Looks like Clark Coy is going to come out on top of this early team fight. This gal trying to find the well string. This looks like a pretty solid here for Clark.
That Rainmaker does get picked off finally. See, Cartoons, the last one alive. 5 on the Drexel Gold, not input to get that Rainmaker stop, probably still running in, or not, no, they were picked off, my apologies. But yes, Clark Coy did get the checkpoint pretty early, only 40 seconds in, but Drexel is not going to let them get more points than that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in these past few games so many different pushes that Clark Coy had that were immediately stopped by something on Drexel Gold, but this time it's looking like they're able to get past the first check. Unfortunately, their Rainmaker's gonna be picked up. Now it's looking like Clark Coy has kind of figured out how to maybe possibly prevent those random explosions from happening.
Drexel Gold doing a great job on damage control, only letting Clark Coy get 2 more points after the checkpoint. No team. Oh, sorry. Actually, Clark Coy getting a couple members getting up. They're starting to get some specials ready. We see that they have the strikes coming in from the Neo Splash, the whale coming out from Rossum on the Gal, getting a pick on Cyanide, the Sploosh player. Weird One running in with the Rainmaker, but very far behind the rest of the team. Drexel Gold looking to actually get a flank here on the right side, trying to pop in and see if they can pick off the Rainmaker while they're set from the herd. But going 2 members down, Weird One getting as many points as possible, 38, down to 30, they're going straight for the KO! Can they get it? No, they can't! Drexel Gold need to find something here to get this Rainmaker out.
Yeah, and this is a very, very good, first half of the match here for Clark Coy. We were talking about if the answer was going to be if it was the Drexel Gold Momentum or the Clark Coy Rainmaker from last time, and looking like so far it's this Clark Coy Rainmaker difference, but of course there's still half to be played.
Yeah, and as you say, yeah, we're exactly now approaching the halfway point of this match in the normal regulation timer. Week 2 going down to a pivotal Ultra Stamp throw from Clark Coy from that well string, and now awkward position for Drexel Gold. They have to get this map control back. Cyanide walking at Weird One does get the trade, but with 3 down in Drexel Gold, that might not have been worth it now. It's up to Jorp on this end zap. They're on the left of the map. They're going to run it right, so they're going to get free reign of the entire side of the map. Drexel Gold need to set up a new defensive position with all their respawns before Clark Coy get back in.
Of course, with the Rainmaker already having pushed down to 5, they don't really super need to shave more points off the scoreboard. They're just going to play this Rainmaker in their base as annoying as possible. They're finally going to go down here, but they have the Rainmaker in Drexel Gold's base and just saying, here you go, Drexel, now it's your turn to see what you can try to do.
Cyanide on the Sploosh grabbing the Rainmaker. Not typically what you see, but anyone can grab it, and it really depends on how you're going to run it. They do have a lot more support now as they don't have that rat weapon. Trying to just put out paint and push back Clark Coy. The Sodas come out. 1 member going down to that Zuka. Drexel Gold needs some more picks here. They need more than 1, and they do. They get a second one, but the Rainmaker goes down. This may not be that detrimental, though, because now they have a Sploosh available to help them. But 3 members down, just the Wellstring left alive. They have to kind of regroup and set up here. Clark Coy in a good position with a minute left in the game.
Yeah, I will note, I've been seeing some things on the side of Drexel Gold that it seems like the hero plays that were working before are no longer really working out for Drexel. So a lot of the players on Clark Coy are able to shut it down before it gets out of hand. And that difference, as now the time on the scoreboard is getting very low, and Drexel still hasn't even put a single point on it.
In Clark Coy know exactly how they need to win this game. We saw Void the Ranger running 2 of Drexel Gold in the inconvenient location possible time and waste away the game with 20 seconds left. It's the first one alive on Drexel Gold. Can they get into a good position here? The rest of the team needs to come in. Well, 10 seconds left. They're running away with the Rainmaker. It does go down. Drexel Gold will get an overtime. They have an opportunity, but with 3 down, it's not looking great, and that is a delayed wipe. The timer's going to go down. The pick is there. Clark Coy grabs, and they are going to day 2.
Yeah, with that little grab of the Rainmaker in overtime, they're going to grab their spot in day 2. They're going to go 3-0 in Swiss. They are done for the day. Drexel Gold will have to continue fighting for it. Of course, they still have 2 more chances, but Clark Coy able to stop that freight train of momentum that Drexel Gold was presenting and punch their ticket to day 2.
Yeah. Congratulations to Clark Coy, and also congratulations to you, Poke, for correctly picking one of the Day 2 teams. You've proven that you are smarter and funnier and more handsome than me, as we all know. But I still have a chance. Drexel Gold can still make Day 2. They have 2 more opportunities to go to Day 2 in this bracket. But myself and Poke will not be the ones commentating that, because our block is finished. We're going to be sending it over to our next commentators, Nell and Raphayl. They're going to do a great job. I'm going to be watching for sure. Now, before we go, let's get a little bit greedy here. Poke, you plug yourself. Where can everyone find you?
Well, it's on the screen right below my face right now at yokopoke.bsky.social. And of course, I see, Hammy, you also have a little thing underneath your name. What's that I see?
Yes, again, I am Hammy, also known as Hammy in the Wall. You can find me on Blue Sky at hitw.inc, and that's where I'm most active, but you can find me basically everywhere else on the internet at Hammy in the Wall. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Again, don't go anywhere. We have more Splatoon action. We have 2 more rounds of Swiss, 2 best-of-5 sets with 2 commentators coming in. And once again, thank you all for watching. Thanks, Poe, for commentating with me. Thank you to all the production team for all the work you do. And once again, also thank you to Asus for sponsoring the CCA Circuit. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to be back very, very soon.
Yeah, we said we let it go, but we settled for the last. Couldn't let you want it though. Who am I to let you down? No, who am I to let you down? Down, if you let me walk away, maybe then we'd lose it all. No. Who am I to let you
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore. Break away, forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway. And cancel the cruise control. Switch it in the manual. Don't you wanna feel right?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to CCA Division 4, Swiss Round 4, Day 1. Hi, my name is Nell. I'm going to be one of your commentators for this set, for these few sets. And I'm joined here with Raphayl. Raphayl, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm Raphayl. I will also be a commentator for this set today. And yes, I know I'm excited. I've been super out of touch with CCA for a while, but I'm excited to get, I don't know, I feel like that's just gonna, the fun things that are gonna come out of my mouth today, y'all aren't ready for it. Y'all aren't ready for it. It's color.
It's peak, and I'm sure that we're all going to be in for a treat because I also am not really up to date with CCA. Like I said before, I am an alumni. I graduated in 2021, so I'm not really up to date. But I have a lot of friends that are participating today in various different divisions, so I'm really excited and pleased to be here. And I know that you guys basically just watched a set that went best of 5, did all 5 games. So hopefully we'll match that energy with our sets today.
And speaking of energy, I mean, like, CCA Season 5, I imagine, I've been told it's a really exciting season, right? And with this CCA Circuit action heating up, we are very excited to announce that Asus ROG is the sponsor of the CCA Circuit this season. Their eSprouts initiative is giving the CCA Circuit prizing in support to our top teams for the season, and we're happy to have them join on as our prizing sponsor. You can find out more about their Elite Rewards program by typing in !ASUS, that's !ASUS in CCA Twitch chat. And thank you to Asus ROG again for their support of the Collegiate Splatoon scene.
Thank you for that wonderful and beautiful ad read, Raphayl. So
I'm
today,
so
for our
good.
division, for our bracket, we are going to be seeing round 4, match 27, NCCS Llamas versus the Holy Snail. So NCCS Llamas is the Newmont College of Computer Science, and the Holy Snail, beautiful name, is Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. So we're in for a treat here.
I'm a big Snail fan. I might have to root these guys just on that alone. Like,
You're a Snail enjoyer?
I'm a Snail enjoyer.
You're a ninjoyer. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to the maps I believe that we're doing. I'm just clicking around trying to make sure. Okay, so we're going to be doing Clams Makomar at the start. Raphayl, how active have you been in Splatoon? Like, on this map mode?
I have a lot of opinions on Clams Mako. I have a lot of opinions on it. It's actually one of my favorite Clan Blitz maps in the game. So I just like Mako Mart in general. I think those 2 stacked benches on the side create a lot of interesting like terrain that you can play around that we don't see on too many other maps because there's so many paintable walls. Oh my god, I can bounce off them like a freaking ping pong ball. I think we're going to see a lot of exciting close quarters scrapping happening on this map with weapons like Tri-Flush or Roller. Oh, I really hope we start talking about Team Map weapon.
Well, the match is already started. Sorry to interrupt.
Already starting? Oh my god.
Yes, the match is about 15 seconds in. We do see a Tri-Slasher, we do see a tent on the side of NCCS Llamas, we see a Dread Ringer, and a Jet Squelcher. This is like the second Jet Squelcher that we've seen today, which I'm really pleased, and there's a wipeout from the side of the Holy Nail. They are absolutely just taking the space, they are getting clams, but it looks like they are able to break the barrier and get some points on the board with they're just kind of tearing up NCCS Llamas right now, getting it down to 51.
Oh yeah, no, Holy Snail getting down to 51, getting those 2 extra picks. They have their bucket way in there, getting 3 picks. Oh my god, that basket's going to go down, but they're going to be able to hold this round. And if they have the clan economy to build that, I mean, we have the special advantage on the side of the Snails. We see this bucket player, Dot Flat, going, just making a tactical retreat, but they're still in a very good position here. We see that they're building up their clans again, enough to build a power, and they're still getting the picks on NCCS Llamas.
Absolutely.
Here on the 10, trying to establish a presence, getting an important on that Incra, launching off that Bazooka, getting a double, and that's going to be it for Snail's push right there.
Beautiful. As you can see, there's only one special, which is the pencil on Holy Snail with a cooler. It looks like they are trying to get some scrappy pick, get a score, but I don't think there's 2 specials on the board. It looks like they're going to score the cooler out, hopefully, to ensure that their team is able to make a solid push, and there it is going up on right stack. As you can see, CS Llamas is just kind of clumped by the basket. Not in position because the Holy Snail is not really allowing them to do so with their comp, their scrappy comp, with the ink brushes causing havoc and, you know, getting behind them. They just keep, I believe, getting distracted. They aren't able to take the spots that they want to take, and that's why NCCS Llamas just isn't able to hold their own yet. With and especially with the double bucket and the pencil, it's a nightmare to try up. So, as you can see, they're continuing to try and get a lot of clams. There are 0 clams on the side of NCCS Llamas right now, which is unfortunate for them, but as you can see, it's like 2 picks, 3 picks. They just keep getting scores. They're just tearing it up right now.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'll be on the ink brush, getting like at least 2 picks before going down themselves. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot. It's so in CCS Llamas, they have a very setup dependent comp, right? That Jet Squelcher is a very mobile weapon, but that's probably the most mobile weapon on their team aside from the Tri-Slosher. They have a tint, and once you get that tint in, that tint cannot get out. That is a really strong force for their advantage condition, but they simply have not been able to set themselves up for an advantage condition yet. We saw the tint get those picks earlier whenever they were launching off the Trizuka into mid, except then they just got wiped right back out with the, I've been flipped on my colors this whole time. NCCS is actually in the lead. Wow. I apologize for that. So, Llama's actually doing really well, but Snail's struggling to get their tint set up. It just looks like they're kind of grasping at straws here. And what we see now is they have that tactical cooler in mid. This might actually be a good opportunity for them. Their Dreadringer scrapping around on this right stack here. It doesn't look like they have any backup though. And sure enough, they go down to Lily on the bucket. Llama's going back for yet another round of their own.
Absolutely, and we do apologize on the color mistake, but it will not happen again. And now that we're all fixed up, we can see that NCCS Llamas is the one that is in the lead with the 2 buckets, with the brush, with the pencil. And that bucket is not pulling any punches. They are trying to make entrances for their team despite being 2 down. They have 2 specials. They are not giving up space, getting pick after pick. It is going to take an army to get this bucket off of this little flat area by their by basket. So Lily is just kind of like taking space and keeping it. And I don't think that the Holy Snail is able to get them out of there. Like you said before, they're just not able to take the space that they need. And with 2 going down 2-2 on both sides, I really want to see the ability for the Holy Snail to get back in, but with pick after pick, I just don't think it's going to be happening with 22 seconds on the clock and no economy.
Yes, no, we're gonna have to see a really Hail Mary pulled together by the Holy Snail here. The Blessed Virgin Snail. They're gonna have to pray to that if they want to bring this game back, because they're going down too. Lily has been in their spawn for such a long time, going down right there themselves, but not before taking out 2 of the Snails with them, and the Snails with 1 second left are not able to build a power clam, and their Hail Snary, unfortunately, did not come to be. What do you think they would need to do to adjust their gameplay, or maybe their weapon comp going into these next games if they want to turn around that?
I would have to take another look at their weapon comp, but I believe that I saw a tent and a jet squelcher. I think they may need a little bit more just aggression. I think that's what they're missing. They need to be a lot more confident in their aggression because I feel like they're playing a little bit afraid. They seem to be afraid of NCCS Llamas, which is completely understandable with their comp. I mean, I would be absolutely afraid of a brush and 2 buckets and a pencil. They have a ton of paint. And so maybe just a painting weapon or more bombs. I feel like I would like to see more bomb spam, some strikes, that type of thing. Just something that would be able to displace NCCS Llamas. And I think the Holy Snail does have an opportunity to do so in the next map mode. Which, let me just double check what that is. One moment. Let me just double check what that is. It's gonna be zones with my favorite map mode of all time, not loading.
Yeah, that's my favorite map mode. You can just do whatever you want on there. You know, the battlefield is your imagination.
Absolutely. It's Mahi Zone. Okay, it's Mahi Zones, which is one of my favorites.
Zones?
I really love Mahi Zones.
I'll have to be convinced on that one. Mahi Zones I find interesting. It's a very cramped map mode, which I don't. I like to be able to move around. I'm too ADHD to stand in one place. But I think I would like to see that same tint come out again if they're able to play off of it, because it's really good at setting up mines underneath the drops into mid or around the opponent's bunker. If you set up your tint to play around that terrain, then it's going to have a field day out there. Now, what I would like to see, we definitely need to see more paint coming out of them. I mean, they have the Dreadringer. Honestly, they actually do have good paint between the Fizzy, the Dreadringer, and the Jet Squelch. But I wasn't seeing them. It didn't look like they were able to capitalize off of the fights that the tint was setting up. It might be that they need a weapon that can respond a little faster than, all these buckets, all these tints, all these things with like very committal fires. You press that trigger and it's like an entire swing animation. You might want to be able to just shoot a few bullets, pepper them a little bit, and just get that crossfire in. But
Yeah,
I think it'll be
agree.
interesting to see how do you think Llamas might adapt their comp going into this next set, if at all?
I may be surprised to see the pencil come back out, just because I frankly am a heavy edit believer. But I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't see it come back out either, because like you said, this map is very small for the first half of the match, and I really want to see them take it. There it is! There it is! There it is! Sorry, I got really excited for a Hydra. A Hydra on the side of, I believe that is, and the Holy Snail. And so they have a lot more paint this time, which I'm really excited about. And that Hydra, if they're able to get set up, they're able to command the entire map. And so I really want to see them take advantage of space and play up together. I think that's kind of what they were missing previously. They just need to take fights together and take advantage of the paint that they have out. As you can see, that Reef Sled going to get a beautiful, possibly even a triple for the side of NCCS. That is not good for Mahi zones, because it's going to take a lot of time just to get back in, and hopefully they're able to flip the zone and put a penalty on the clock, because otherwise they're going to get locked out really quickly.
Definitely, we see Llamas going in for that little sortie right up in the Snail's plat. They do go 2 down as a result. Oh, that is a really unfortunately placed Crab Tank Kira going down in the water because of the tri-strikes. That's really going to cripple Holy Snail's moment going into the start, and now they're going to have to try and take that zone with the counter all the way at 30 and Llamas in their plat. I'll be getting a lucky pick with that Splat Bomb, well-placed Splat Bomb taking down the Hydra. However, they are the only player here left. The zone has been flipped to the Snails. The Snails are not out of this game yet. We see them rolling into mid. Let's see what they can make of this scenario.
This is exactly what the Holy Snail did. They needed to be able to get 3 down. They needed the picks, and they needed the zones flip. Unfortunately, the Reef Slider is not going to catch anyone. They're going to go down, but they're going to, somebody's going to take them out with it. The Pencil is doing their best to try and get the zone back, trying to get their whole team down by flipping the zone to blue. And we see a Booyah coming out, trying to just fight for paint as much as possible. It looks like the players on Holy Snail are not taking fights together, which I really want to see. I see the Hydra kind of painting their feet and stuff, but I think there just needs to be a little bit more cohesion. That's what I need to see. I also would really like to see them utilizing their specials to displace the Pencil, because that's going to be a very powerful thing for the team. They need to get rid of that Pencil in order to kind of stagger the flow that NCCS Llamas has got going on.
Definitely, that Pencil is really it's the longest range, aside from the Dreadringer. The Dreadringer is slow and very committal. That Pencil is the most effective weapon they have to hold range on the side of the Llamas. If Snails can use their faster weapons to break past that, but the thing is, with a scrappy ink brush and a bucket on the side of the Llamas, that'll be a little bit of a challenge for them. We see here on the zone a lot of specials going off in the zone. Snails bringing out the Reflexer, Lily following it up and getting the pick, and with their strikes coming out right now, that is going to flip the zone back to the Llamas, taking down the Hydra, counter going all the way down to 0. That's another knockout from NCCS Llamas, bringing the set count to 2-0 out of a best of 5. This next match will be Snail's last chance to turn the set around.
You are absolutely correct. This last match will determine whether the Snails will be able to make day 2 and continue in with their CCA run. And I just want to admire the patience on the side of NCCS Llamas. I think that they didn't overextend, first of all, and that was really important because they were able to punish everything that was thrown at the zone. They were able to punish the reef slider that was trying to flip the zone. They were able to keep that and hold it because they understood that we need points more than we need kills. So I really appreciated that. I think that that was the key to their win. They have very scrappy weapons. They have distracting weapons, but they didn't overextend too hard. They didn't get overly cocky, which I think was probably the key to their win. Because I do think that the Holy Snail has it in them. They know how to flip the zone. They know what they need to do. It's just kind of trying to contest that patience, which is really difficult.
Yes, we did. So I think that moment where they had the zone, where the snails had the zone flipped in their favor, was it showed a lot of what they can do, right? We saw what they can do whenever they get their presence established. It's just that they don't seem to have the staying power against the llamas, and especially with a Hydra, you want to make sure that you can get that thing set up and get it locked in to stay where it is, right? If your Hydra has to set up their positioning like every, so often, if they have to just keep going in and setting their position back up, then that's a lot of time where you effectively have a weapon that can't do anything. Hydra can do nothing. It's so slow until it's in its position.
Absolutely. And oh, sorry, you go.
No, you go ahead. I was gonna.
Okay, we're having a polite fight.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that Lily, the bucket player on NCCS Llamas, was from a team, Foot Gummy, who is a friend of my team. And they made Alpha Bracket in Low Ink this past November. So they are definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think that NCCS Llamas is a powerhouse of a team, and we see a change. It looks like the Holy Snail is coming out with a sword, just trying to get.
That is a really interesting pick. Now, it looks like they're kind of gonna try to be committing to a slower comp if they're pulling out the Stamper. I could be wrong. The Stamper's not slow. I've always perceived it as such. But that's not because they actually open up this set with a triple, taking out a triple on the Llamas. Kira here on the Stamper set up in bats already. Unfortunately, they have to back out because of that Splat Bomb. But they're at that checkpoint. They're breaking past it. Now this fight happening on that left choke. Lily getting really well placed double at the end of the snails. And we already see Llamas taking that plat. That is really, really fast pacing. Lily is going in deep. They know what they want. Wow, wait, that's a really deep flank. I want to see what becomes of that. Oh my god, you see that name tag back there. Distracting the snail while the rest of their teammates get that tower, take that lead. Lily's still back here, the same. Rat out here. Who's a bona fide rat?
This is absolutely crazy, Raphayl. I love that they went 3 down at the start. Let's remember that. They gave the Holy Snail had the opportunity, but once NCCS Llamas was able to kind of redeem themselves and get their footing, they wasted absolutely 0 time, just kind of invading their space. And I think that what NCCS Llamas is very good at is kind of wasting the other team's time. And I mean that in a positive way. I mean that in they are going to flank, they are going to distract you, they're going to make sure that their team is able to just shoot points, to get points. And I think that's incredibly important because in this game, it is such a fast-paced game. Splatoon is notoriously about, just kind of weighing what you need to do. And so obviously you're going to try and expend your people to get them out of your area. They want you to expend the points so that, you can not look at the tower. And so Lily is just kind of wreaking havoc, trying to make sure that their pencil is able to not be touched.
Absolutely. We've seen, a flank doesn't do anything if you don't stay alive during the flank, but we've seen that Lily is very good at going into those flanks and staying alive and keeping the attention of their opponents. Now we see strikes coming back, trying to reclaim the momentum in the favor of the Llamas, getting their players out in plat. Oh, that's gonna camp that jump. That's really, they are in deep. They have the entire Snails all staggered. They could very well take this to the final check with this push alone. We see the whale and the tack all going off in bats. Lily opting for the stealth, not taking that tack until after getting that pick. And just like you said, wreaking havoc. That wipeout coming out of the Llamas, taking out all the Snails with their strikes. Maybe coming a little early. I don't really know that the Snails will respawn yet. But regardless, that holds them back enough for Clown to ride this tower to check. That is going to be this set. Going to the Llamas. Unfortunately, the Snails were not able to pull off their Hail Snare in time. But I still think that they did show a lot of promise for their final showing in this season. What do you have to say to that, Nell?
I think that the NCCS Llamas is an absolute force to reckon with, and they made it perfectly clear that they want the clean sweep. I do think that the Holy Snail did have the opportunity to get a lot of wins, get points on the board, and I think they did a fantastic job with I just feel like they weren't equipped to deal with NCCS Llama's comp. I think the comp was a little bit too much for theirs to handle. And I think that the sword was a good pick. I would have liked to see the sword come out in the first match, maybe. I think that would have given them a good handle. And, maybe they could have taken advantage of some I'm so silly. What is the special called? Zipcaster. It's one of those days. But yeah, I would have loved to see the Zipcaster just kind of come out and distract NCCS Llamas the way that they were distracting the Holy Snail. I think that would have been really cool to see. I just wanted to see a little bit more of aggression, just confidence and aggression. That would have been really cool. But I overall think that they were very entertaining sets.
Absolutely. And I mean, like you said, that Zipcaster, I think that would have been a good answer for them to use against that pencil especially. But I would have liked to see the sword come out earlier. It definitely could have contested some of the slower but long, similarly ranged weapons like Dreadringer. I think that would have been a good answer. And I think, so that's it for this set right now. So I think we're going to cut to a small break. Am I correct about this?
Yep,
Okay.
You're correct.
Awesome. Wow, I love being correct. I don't like being wrong. Who does?
Most people don't like being
I'm not this
incorrect.
conceited in real life, I swear.
Only in commentary, which is completely valid.
Yeah. Right. I'm always right. Commentators curse, nah, that doesn't apply to me.
Everything you say is correct at all times. Trust.
Yes. Trust.
All right, but like he said before, we are going to go to a small break, but please do not leave. We'll be back. Put on like a little, I don't know, Family Guy in the corner of your screen. Put on your little entertainment, baby sensory videos. We want you to stay just so that you can see this really, really, really cool match coming up next. And I know you're not tired of us yet. So yeah, stay tuned and we will see you soon.
go, but we settled for the last. Couldn't let you want it though. Who am I to let you down? No. Who am I to let you down, down, down? If you let me walk away, maybe then we'd lose it all. No. Who am I to let you
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore.
Hello and welcome back to CCA Swiss Round 5 Division 4 Day 1. My name is Nell and I am joined with the lovely Pebble, my son. He is going to be helping me commentate today, and I'm also being joined by Raphayl.
Hi, I'm Raphayl. I unfortunately don't have a son as beautiful as Pebble, but if I did, he would be my everything. But yeah, no, welcome back to CCA Season 5, Division 4 Swiss Round 5. This is day 1 of finals, and we are about to see, I believe, the XxShadowWarriors go up against Purdue University's Push. This is about to be a really interesting set we have. It's going to be seed number 1 versus seed number 14. So this could go one of two ways, right? It could go the way we're all expecting, or it could not. I'm really creative, right?
Or it could not.
I'm so good at coming up with possibilities.
And we don't have to speculate much longer because it looks like we're absolutely just getting in to the final round of the day, and it is a best of 5. The first match is going to be on Robo Ramen. I believe this is zones, and so as you can see, we see Push on the left side of the screen in orange with a custom Explusher as the backline, and I'm very, very happy to see that. Unique backline picks, and it looks like Shadow Warriors from BCU is going without a tactic ruler, which is an interesting take. I want to see how they're able to play off of that if they get the chance to, but they are already 2 down because push is not giving them the opportunity to get back up. They are taking space and they already have points on the board.
No, definitely. I am such an Explo believer. Oh my god. I've never seen custom Explo play too much, but I'm here for it. We see that they have a good stagger going on the Shadow Warriors right off the bat. Now, we do see this Kimberly Cat getting an important pick on there. Two of Push's key frontliners going down right here. Strikes coming out of the zone. That's going to flip it back to Shadow Warriors. Shadow Warriors seem to be have presence in mid with that bubble pushing back the Explo. But they aren't able to hold their presence. 2 of their players go down, and it's zone's neutral here, flipping back to push. Wow, that's a lot of people going down in this instance, Nell.
Absolutely. It seems like Shadow Warriors is in a little bit of a stagger going on, and when I say stagger, I mean that people are going down 1 by 1 and they're not able to get a full stack of 4 back out onto the field at one time. They keep getting picked off 1 by 1. And it's not looking good for Shadow Warriors right now, but I really want to see they have 2 specials available, and I just saw Stamp being popped. There was the trade. I want to see their specials coming out so that they can finally get space. Like I said before, they just keep staggering, unfortunately. I at least want to see a Zitz flip, and I think that that's what Salt Shaker is attempting to do with the bubble in zone. And with 2 down, they really have to, try their best to get some paint on the ground, but with 5 ticks left, it looks like, unless something is going to happen, the first match of Swiss Round 5 is going to go to push Purdue.
So, I have a hypothesis here.
Okay.
It might not go the way that was expected.
Commentators cursed. What were you saying about that?
Oh, I wasn't saying anything important. I don't normally do. But yeah, I mean, Seed 1, XxShadowWarriors being Seed 1 going up against Seed 14 push. I would have expected game 1 to go to Seed 1, right? But no, we saw Push take that game, and that's really setting the tone for the set that this is not going to be a clean sweep. If anything, that game just showed that we're going to see a clean sweep in favor of the lower seed, and having Seed 14 upset Seed 1, y'all, that could be huge. This is going to be an exciting set for sure. I'm sure it's really going to throw off everyone's predictions. I know I voted for Shadow Warriors to win the div. Honestly, just out of respect for that name, XxShadowWarriors, love that, y'all. Keep it up.
They do have a peak name. I really appreciate that name choice. But let's see what the second round is going to bring us. It's going to be tower control on Shipshape Cargo Company. And so this map, it's either going to be just like one team pushes the entire time, or it's going to be a back and forth. And so it's really... I can't really estimate how this is going to go. I feel like we didn't really get a chance to see what Shadow Warriors is able to bring to the table in the first match because they were just kind of so thrown off and they were caught in this endless stagger. I love off-meta picks, but I hate to say it. I am a Tacticooler main myself, and I think that honestly it would benefit if they ran a Tacticooler just so that their team can stabilize if they get into another stagger such as the first one, because they just kind of weren't able to get on their feet.
Definitely. Like, you got to stay hydrated, Mm-hmm. Without that Tacticooler, you're losing so much aggressive power because you can't make the risky plays that, high risk, high reward. The riskier plays can earn you more space. And that's what this game is all about. You need space. And I think it'll be interesting to see the terrain difference between Ramen going into Shipshape. Ramen has that elevated mid. It's higher than the surroundings. But in Shipshape, that's not quite the case. Whenever you're pushing that tower, you're in low ground. But it's still not very accessible. It can still snowball very once you get to that low ground in front of the enemy, in front of your opponent's bats. So going off of weapon picks here, we see both teams do have Tacticooler now. It looks like Shadow Warriors are realizing that they're going to need the insurance that they can come back in a little more quickly. They have their Heavy posted up on this top right side of the map, and the first pick of the game, well, it's neutralized. We've had one player go down on both sides. We're in a very neutral state, and neither team has a clear advantage now. And it looks like they're just biding their time until they can get their specials. First specials coming online from Shadow Warriors. The strikes going out on mid, looking to finally build some momentum. Anarchy here on the Viper with the tactical cooler for a little sortie, trying to get their opponent out of their top right. But now we see the sides of the map are kind of flipped here. Salt Shaker and a disconnect.
Oh,
Wait,
we hate to see it. I believe that it was within the first minute so that they are able to replay this set, which is what we're going to see. But I think that we gathered a lot of information just from that 1 minute. For example, what I saw is it feels like they were both kind of playing afraid of the other team. With maps like this, you really need to capitalize on these kills that you're getting. If there's 1 down, 2 down, you have to kind of just haul, you know what I mean? You have to go for it, because otherwise you're just going to lose the opportunity and stay in a stalemate state until someone else is going to get a pick on you. So I would like to see a little bit, I don't want to see riskier plays. I want to see capitalizing on advantages a lot more, because I feel like both of the teams were able to put points on the board a little bit earlier than they did.
Definitely, I think so. Honestly, I kind of like the I was seeing coming out of that. Right, it seemed like a much more even match. Both teams were playing more cautious. It looked like they were trying to get the download on each other. We didn't see anything come of that because, I mean, we were 40 seconds into the match, right? That is a little slow. It's like you expect something to happen by then, but right when we were seeing something happen is when the disconnect came in. So it's hard to say what could have been. I do think it was interesting how we saw, like I was saying, the sides of the map were split, right? So Shadow Warriors had their opponents top mid, and their opponents had, Push had Shadow Warriors top mid. So that was, it could have just panned out to another neutral engagement, quite honestly. But let's see how they adapt if they still play for that download at the start of this next match like they did last time, Nell.
I feel like both of the teams they gathered like the 1 minute of information that they were able to, and I think that they can kind of start the match a little bit faster this time. I want to see if they're going to take the same openings, if the heavy edit is going to take top right, and just continue with what they were doing. It looks like we're going to see a flank with the T10 left side. They may try and get a crossfire onto the heavy edit. There's 2 down on both sides, 2 down on the side of Shadow Warriors. And that push is going to be taking advantage of this, like how I said they should. That is the key to this map. And the heavy edit is trying to make something happen. As you can see, I believe that they kind of held that engagement a bit too long. I think that they are already at the first checkpoint. Shadow Warriors needs to rotate to the right. They need to get them out of their area as fast as possible. You can see 2 people on the right side trying to make something happen, and with 2 down, they're able to touch the tower and get a huge pick on the edit, canceling that crab. Thank goodness for the side of Shadow Warriors, because that is exactly what they needed. They did not want that crab to come out, and they are holding Stamp, they're holding Bubble. They are preparing for a long push.
Definitely, and we see that tactical come out as soon as it can so that they can take space, take that court away from push. Kimberly using their strikes right here, trying to hold onto this tower, really smart play. Top left still held by push though, and with that rain out, Kimberly's going to go down, and the tower is going to flip back. The Anarchy. Oh my goodness! Whoa! 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 What was that? That's
a beautiful quad, or a triple. Beautiful quad or triple on the side of Shadow Warriors, with Anarchy not pulling any punches, just kind of pushing as hard as possible. They're trying to do the tactic that we mentioned we saw earlier in the previous set, where we just need somebody to go and distract in order to kind of leave the tower and get some points on the board. It looks like it's just scrappy fights going around the entire map. The tower is pretty much back to neutral, and with only like 2 separate points, it's anyone's game. As we can see, Push is trying to take space and take the lead.
Definitely, we've seen the leads flip back and forth so many times in the set. Oh, that's a really big triple going down on Shadow Warriors, actually. This is going to be a really good lead that Push gets out of this push. Bringing it all the way, it looks like, to the final point.
That is an unfortunate bomb. Unfortunate bomb on the side of Push, and they are able to back up properly and give Shadow Warriors their space that they are so humbly requesting right now. They're trying to take the space. There's 2 down on the side of Shadow Warriors, and it's unfortunate that we just keep seeing pick after pick after pick. It seems like Shadow Warriors is just in need of a strong push. They had a strong push initially, and I just want to see what they can do to make that happen again. And there's like 3 down on the side of push. They need to capitalize on this situation, but the final person is able to get the bubble out and stabilize their team that just went 3 down, and now they're already back up again.
Definitely we're seeing a scrappy fight happen here in mid. Unfortunately, Kimberly using their strikes from a disadvantageous position, but they actually live off of it and baiting 2 members of push to try and pick them off in the corner, but the strikes taking them all out. XxShadowWarriors has a really good positioning here. Tactical are out on tower, bringing that up, and they are flooding the earth a little slow, but they are now in Push's court. Strikes coming off, keeping them locked away from tower, and it looks like they're going to try and take top right with a bubble on, taking the lead back from Push right before the tower gets flipped back.
That is exactly what I wanted to see on the side of Shadow Warriors. We just need people to take advantage of these picks. And we also, I think that we need to capitalize on enemy space a little bit more. I didn't see anybody on the final check, or the second check? I didn't see anybody going top right. I think I really want to see more people into the tower, just kind of leading it to where it needs to be. Because right now it seems like, you know, the tower is dictating the flow of the match, which it should really be the other way around, you know what I'm saying? But as you can see, there are specials being popped, there's scrappy fights going on, it's 2-2 right now, there's 1 down on both sides, and we're just trying to make something happen. There's only 1 point to lead. Shadow Warriors is going to try and keep push from lead swapping, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with this lead, unfortunately.
I wouldn't feel comfortable, but unfortunately we see the tack player and Push go down in the last 2 seconds, swiftly followed by picking off 2 of their other members. That's the Edit and the Brush, and the Brush with the... Oh, never mind, Brush has Storm, not, But yeah, no, we're in the final 10 seconds. That tower is so far from Push's lead, and they're all going down. Shadow is taking game 2 for themselves, but not very decisively. That was only by 1 point. We saw the lead flipping back and forth so many times that match. It looks like these teams really are getting the download on each other, but they're just adapting to each other faster, you know, back to back. There wasn't really a clear winner indicated by this match right here now.
Absolutely. I think that both teams are pretty evenly matched, and that's why they're in the same division. No matter like who is seated where, in the end, it doesn't really matter when you're on the battlefield. I feel like upsets can happen at any time, you know, all that stuff. And I am really pleased with Shadow Warriors' performance. I think that it was really awesome to see them kind of show who's boss a little bit. They're like, we're seed 1. This is what it feels like to be seed 1. And that's pretty much it. So I am curious to see if we're going to see any changes for comps on the next match.
Definitely. I like how we were seeing more even fights happen, right? We saw a lot more neutral engagement than just one team getting picked, or, you know, one team making a risky play. Maybe they get a pick, but then 2 of their teammates go down in favor. We were seeing these neutral engagements happen. These fights were longer and more drawn out, and also more explosive. I mean, we saw Kimberly get that baiting the 2 players into the corner to go down with the strikes. The Wiper getting, like, was it 2 or 3 players off of 1 crit? That was really insane. You love to see that type of exciting action happen in these games. And going into our next mode, Rainmaker on Manta Maria, this is by far the most explosive mode in the game, Rainmaker. I mean, the checks do slow it down a little bit compared to Splatoon 2, but still, you can knock out to KO so quickly, and especially if you manage to sneak in a push through cut, you can just get that Rainmaker ticker counting down so quickly on this map now.
Absolutely. I fully expect to see a ton of flanks, a ton of distractions, as long as they're able to capitalize on them. You know, like if somebody's flanking but they aren't really doing anything, that's when we should be worried. But I think that this match is anybody's game here. I fully expect to see Maybe the bow will come back out. I'm not too sure. We don't really have to speculate much longer as we get into the third match. It's 1-1 right now, best of 5. Push from Purdue University and ShadowWarriorsxX from VCU. And we see a ballpoint Splatling coming out. I am quite excited. My Splatling heart is joyous right now. And honestly, I think that they may not be that paint heavy. I think Push may be lacking of paint if Constantine goes down, which is something that I would worry about on this map, just making sure that your flanks are painted. But let's see if we can pop here. Shadow Warriors is able to get pop and absolutely command the board right now. They're commanding mid. I think I saw somebody go through cut, and as you can see, I believe Salt Shaker did go through cut, and they pre-painted the right side. So I fully expect distractions to be happening on the left, and we saw a little bit of a flank, but it's just scrappy. I feel like things aren't really going to Shadow Warriors' plan like how they intended, because I saw them pre-paint. They were fully expecting to go cut, but something happened. I think there was they just weren't able to get it, and now Push has control of the Rainmaker, and they're just able to get the first points.
We're seeing the advantage stay split back and forth a lot right here. Oh my goodness. Okay, wait. The only player left on the field is actually respawning. Both teams have to come back. Lan Evo making it back first, getting that pop for Push. And Push is going to try and set up to position themselves in the bunker, but the strikes taking out 2 of their members. Last stuck on that right plat there. Will Lan be able to back out? Yes, they are. Okay, wow. We're seeing, and you know, for that double that Shadow Warriors got on Push, they just got a double performed onto themselves. Like I said, both teams are just really fighting tooth and nail here. We aren't seeing a clear winner. We're almost 2 minutes into the match, and neither team has even taken a check. Oh, and unfortunately, Lan's falling the abyss.
It happens to the best of us. It happens to me. It happens to you. It happens to top players, and it's unfortunate every time it happens, but we don't quite see a lead swap right now. We see Shadow Warriors able to take advantage of that mistake, and hopefully they're able to get some in mid, but nobody was watching the Rainmaker, and they can easily run it for check, and that is the checkpoint down for Push, Purdue University's Push, and this decab is just kind of taking advantage of literally everything in its way. It took 3 people to try and take care of that decab, and none of it was working. So that's quite unfortunate for Shadow WarriorsxX. I believe that they just really need to clear people out, but they just aren't able to.
Definitely, and I mean, with how close we've seen these past 2 games, this check could be really important for giving the next point to Push. It looks like Shadow Warriors has been struggling to get to their own check, and now with 3 of them down, that Rainmaker still positioned right on cut. If Push can pop it, they can go for big points right here, and that's what they're going to do, exactly that. Playing a little cautiously, trying to avoid that splat bomb. Constantine trying to follow up that rain, not quite getting into it, but still bringing that counter all the way down to 28. That could be the deciding push of this match right here now.
Absolutely. Shadow Warriors needs to take notice of all of the beacons on the board, though, because they are just coming back quickly. I feel like Push isn't really being punished for these beacons, for these jumps, for these flanks. They need to properly be punished in order for them to not do it again and keep the space that they are so winning right now. And with 2 down on the side of Push, I feel like this Shadow Warriors' opportunity to finally get their push happening. But they need to watch the flanks, as I'm seeing this map is notoriously just back and forth, and you don't know where to look. Didn't look behind you, and now somebody's behind you, and they're still trying to go cut. How this is going to go, I think they may be trying to go for a KO. They are not complacent with their lead. They want to make sure that the win is in the bag for them, and with 2 going down, there's only a wiper up. It may just be a KO if they're able to run it.
And it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Getting parry on the splat bomb, getting through 2 of them, and dunking that Rainmaker with 2 players firing at them. Shoutouts to Push. Wow.
They pushed.
Yeah, they did exactly.
They literally pushed. Kudos to the Rainmaker carrier. That was some really slick footwork, just trying to dodge all of those bombs, and we were just able to sneak by. It was pre-painted. They just, walked on in. So,
right.
I mean, good for them. Reaction. That was really cool.
This is my honest reaction.
My honest reaction, blink, blink.
Does it work? Does it magnify?
Yeah. My webcam is currently in the crunchy world right now, unfortunately.
Oh.
But
I can't
yeah,
see what it looks like because
no, I can see.
yeah, I don't know.
I have glasses as well, but I'm not wearing them right
I'll
now.
be realist here. I'll be realist here. Either way, that was a really exciting match that we just saw there. I mean, it was so neck and neck right up until the end that at some point Push broke through the Shadow Warriors defenses, and it was still a little long and drawn out, but they just kept at it. They kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And shoutouts to their Octobrush player. I do not know how to read that name, unfortunately, but I was a little skeptic of the Brush Nouveau pick at first. I'm like, does it really bring value? Like Rain, Beacon, that's a weird kit right there. I don't know how it works. But we saw the beacons really allowed them to establish their presence. They just kept coming back into the map after their respawns. And with the rework to Rain too, I guess it gave them a little more surviving power for their pushes because they at some point got up into Shadow Warrior Street and just did not leave, and that's what allowed them to take that match. Now let's see how that changes going into Scorched Clams. A little bit of a different map, right? I mean, Clams is by virtue a more sustained mode. You need to sustain your pushes. You can't get the quick explosive pushes that you do in Rainmaker unless you're like a god at managing your clam economy. Unless you have a couple accountants on your side there, maybe. But how do you think Shadow Warriors is going to adapt in a set where they haven't been very good at establishing the staying power that they need to push?
What I want to see them do is I want to see them I think I want to see them slow down. And when I mean that, I mean take a breath and just figure out what Push keeps getting away with. Because I feel like they keep getting away with a lot. They keep kind of doing the same thing and it works because it's not being punished. You know, like with the beacons, I feel like we need to be aware. We need to look at the map. We need to take account of where the brush is. Because I think that, you know, when I play with my team and there's a sharking brush or something like that, we always have to keep an eye on them. Otherwise, it's kind of toast. If someone says, "Hey, where's the brush?" and it's like, I don't know where the brush is. Where's the brush? It's just like, and then someone dies. That's exactly how it goes. So what I want to see from Shadow Warriors is to just slow down, feel confident in their pushes. I feel like that's what's missing. They need to feel confident, and they also need to, you know, just gather up their resources. And so we don't have to guess much longer as we are getting into Game 4. Push just needs one more win in order to qualify for Day 2, and if Shadow Warriors is not able to take this win, then they are out.
Definitely, and we see their brush trying to set themselves up on top mid here, scrapping around. I think a lot of pain, you know, they're like, oh, I'm sharking. This is my hill. I'm the king of this hill. And special coming online. It looks like the tactical, no, both teams have the tactical online. Wiper from Shadow Warriors going down, not able to follow up the strikes. The Junior also going down. Unfortunately, Shadow Warriors gets zero momentum off of those strikes, and the brush going for sortie on right here.
Absolutely, they are getting a concise push here, and they're able to break the barrier and get some score on the board. And it's going to be difficult for them to defend this, but I think that there's just kind of scrappy fights going on in mid. They're trying to gather clamps, they're trying to keep this up, but with 2 down, I think that they're going to have to sacrifice this push if they want to continue to be in mid and keep space. They are trying to keep as many clams as possible, much to their fall. I feel like they maybe should have backed up, regrouped, kind of just figured stuff out, but they continue to push and keep space, and now this gives Push the opportunity to take mid and get beacons out and do all of that stuff that they're good at, be a little slippery. So we see clam economy on both sides, but 2 are down on the side of Push. This is Shadow Warriors' opportunity to be able to get some clams in right now, but as you can see, it looks like somebody went down, and we're just trying to... It's a very neutral game right now, I think. They're on the board. Yeah, there's still an opportunity for Shadow Warriors to absolutely get points. They had to use their special, unfortunately. It's just, I feel like the timing isn't really working out for them.
We aren't seeing Shadow Warriors be able to put their specials very well yet. And we saw a few things, you know, like, they were in a position to push a little while ago there, but their edit overextended a little bit right before everything really fell into place. we're seeing Team Salmon Row give up a lot of space, obviously, right there. Their brush goes down without any follow-up from their team. Salt Shaker, however, going down to Constantine on top here. And Constantine is about to get that cooler, unfortunately goes in for an aggressive engagement and goes down before they can get it out on the field. That's really going to cripple Push's momentum right here.
Absolutely. With 2 power clam on the side of 3 going down, that Push is basically dead now. They're going to have to back up, take space. But Shadow Warriors, this is their opportunity to get points of their own, but they have 1 down and another one down, no special. I don't think that they're able to capitalize on this, 3-person wipeout, unfortunately. And Push back from the dead, probably because of the beacons. They're already back on their ramp, just ready to score and just take space. And they're in defending right now, but they are not afraid to just kind of kill people. I really like their confidence, and it's paying off because they're taking the space that they need, and they're effectively just kind of squashing Shadow Warriors like bugs.
Definitely. I think what I would like to see from Shadow Warriors moving forward is, obviously I don't have a complete view of the map, but it looks like their edit is the one leading the pushes. It's difficult for them, to take advantage of these openings whenever their primary frontliners seem to be a little slow to respond from our perspective. However, get a triple on push. They have another opportunity here. It looks like they have really big clam advantage here. Anarchy on the Viper, getting that hammer and going on the sortie on push here and getting mileage off of it. They are the last alive, but are they going to be able to sneak this clam into the lead? And they are! Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's not a big lead, but with only 50 seconds left on the clock, this hasn't been a relatively even match. We could see this game go into overtime here.
That is absolutely the boost that Shadow Warriors needed. Do you see Push's clam count, by the way? They have a ton of clams. I would be a little bit worried, but with 3 going down and just a power clam, to commentator's curse, you can say something and then boom, it's all wampus now. It looks like Shadow Warriors is now clam economy positive. They are trying to stay as much as possible. They understand that they need to win this last match in order to continue to, but with people going down left and right, they may just have to defend and be happy with their lead, even though it's small. I would still feel a little bit scared, but I wouldn't force a push because push has to push it to you. They have to be the ones that are kind of playing on your level.
Definitely, it looked like we were seeing Shadow Warriors try to set up for an end-of-game push right there so they could end out the game on their own terms. They were a little overextended. They got forced back in. They didn't have the resources to back up their momentum, but it was enough to slow down push. We saw overtime timer ran out there before, right whenever they were positioned in Shadow Warriors Street. Wait, Shadow Warriors won? Yes, because push didn't get the claim in the basket.
They just needed like
That's
5
what I
more
was saying.
seconds.
That's what I was
If they
saying.
had like 5 more seconds in overtime, then they would have been able to win. But thankfully, well, not thankfully. I mean, I'm happy that we're seeing 2-2. I'm really happy for a game 5.
Me too.
I'm really excited for a game 5. I think that this is going to be an awesome way to end it out. This is the final match, and the winner of this will determine who gets to make day 2 and who's out. I think that's a beautifully balanced teams, not gonna lie. I think this is a real treat, and with Mako Mart Zones being the final map mode, I think that it's just the perfect spot to end it. I feel like it's a very balanced map mode, and it really tests a team's team abilities. You know what I mean? My words are failing me, but it's the type of map where every team kind of knows how to play it. So this is going to be a real treat to watch.
There's something for everyone on this map, right? There's something for your short range, your little short range rats. And then there's something for your tried and true E-Leader 1 tricks who can just control everything after getting set up on stack. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Now, we haven't really seen too much long range come out of these teams other than their Splatlinks. We haven't seen a single charger this set yet, I think. So that's exciting right there. Especially because their Splatling players both seem to be on the more aggressive side, playing like ballpoint or playing that frontline edit that we saw. And I think it'll be really exciting, especially if we see this is another big upset potential set here again. I And I think it's just another reminder that, I mean, like, anything can happen in this game. You know, you never know. It's not over until it's over.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm excited
And
because, like, you know, I do want to see the first seed win, but I also want to see the underdogs win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's really cool to be able to commentate this set, and I want to see people pushing up with the edit. I think that's what I want to see. I want to see them take advantage of the space that they're making, because heavy edit is a really fantastic weapon for pushing people out of the way. That's why I love it so much. But you need somebody else to kind of finish those fights. You need somebody in front of you to gather attention so that the heavy edit can just crossfire and do what they need to do. You know, I think that the edit is really good at creating space, but we need people to capitalize on that space. I think the timing is just a little bit wonky for Shadow Warriors, that they probably need to touch base with each other on. They're like, hey, are you ready for pushing? No, I'm fighting in mid. Okay, then we're not pushing. You know what I mean? Or, you know, I think we need to push now. Okay, let's go. So that's really what I want to see in the final match. I think that I genuinely don't know what I'm gonna see. I'm excited. We see the custom Explo coming back out on the side of Push, and we don't see any changes on the side of Shadow Warriors. This is a crazy amount of paint on the side of Push, just because the Explo is able to paint zone. That's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. I feel like Shadow Warriors is gonna have to they're gonna have to take care of that Explo, because if they are not able to move the Explo, that is an anchor that is very difficult to get rid of.
definitely. And we're just gonna have to see Shadow Warriors be very careful in this. That all of these games have been very close, but remember, game 1 on Splatoon Ramen, that was the only landslide victory we've seen in any of these games, and it was in favor of Push. And right there, we see that Push getting a double on Shadow Warriors, taking down 2 of their key support players. They have an iron grip on the zone right here.
Absolutely. We see that people are trying out of their spawn from the Shadow Warriors. They're trying to retake left stack, but I don't think they're able to properly with the decap just kind of being a freight train in your face. I feel like with a decap, if he looks at you, then you're just kind of dead, unless you're able to punish that. And as you can see, there's 1 up on the side of Shadow Warriors. With 30 seconds left on the clock, they really need to make a miracle happen. They need to farm specials right now in order to displace Push. With 2 down on both sides, this may be what they need, but with a splashdown trying to neutralize the zone, they give Push a pretty hefty penalty, which is exactly what Shadow Warriors needed in order to maybe win this game.
Definitely. That did buy them some extra time, but if they to make this work, they're gonna have to play careful. They're gonna have to make sure they have their specials online before going for that zone again. We see them taking down the decav on side of Push. That decav is a key player. Salmon really going crazy. Just going ham, taking out Shadow Warriors left and right. Shadow Warriors now in the zone with double. That's really going to give them some staying power. We see Salt Shaker playing for this rough stack. That's a key position if you want to put your advantage on this map. And they now have Push in a stagger loop, taking out their Tactical Lure player right as Tactical Lure came online. Let's see what they can do with this advantage now.
This is beautiful. We see a stagger going through on the side of Push. We see a splashdown being held and a bubble being held on the side of Push. I think that they are probably preparing for their push themselves. Juiced up, they're able to take the zone. They're able to capitalize on it and go all in. This is fateful. Shadow Warriors is going to take lead, and with a zone flip, they give Shadow Warriors a hefty penalty that they're going to need to try and cut through in order to get a lead back with 2 minutes left on the clock, and players going down on both sides. We really just want to see some staying power.
Yes, Push's Explo go for a little bit of a flat down there, and it ended up paying off. It was 2-1 in favor of Shadow Warriors, but unfortunately they engaged that Inzap alone, and Push's Inzap won the fight, taking Shadow Warriors out of the running for a little while. Now we do see them establish their presence in the zone. They get up Tactical, and they have a bit of a flank set up on right. Unfortunately, Anarchy is not able to find anything off of it, and now Shadow Warriors is at the disadvantage. Zone is in a neutral state, being flipped back to Push. Constantine here on that a really aggressive Inzap player, might I add, with that Tactical Lure, unfortunately falling for the splat bomb juke. Zone is just a bloodbath here. We see that hammer going off. It looks like Salt Shaker setting up that bubble that could be really big for slowing down push here, but unfortunately Shadow Warriors has more players going down at the moment. Beacon set up right next to zone. That's going to be really tricky for them to flush out push going into the rest of this game.
Ooh, 2 down out of push. This is what Shadow Warriors needs in order to flip zone back and give push another penalty. They're trying to take solo fights. I think that's where the issue is coming from. They need to take fights together. As you can see with push, throughout this entire set, they were, taking their specials, going in with them, and with a beautiful hammer down the street or the alley on left side, they're able to get a few picks and flip the zone back to blue. They need to cut through at least like 30 ticks of penalty and also 20 zone ticks. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. They really need to hold, and they really need to just pick off people. And 2 down on the side of Shadow Warriors. This is just a mess. And ooh, beautiful. Wait, it was 3 down on both sides? This is crazy.
That is 3 down, but that engagement is in favor of push in the last 30 seconds of the match. Shadow Warriors now has another 2 players going down to Salmon Row out here. Salmon Row going for a third. Do they find it? Do they find it? Oh my goodness. They do find it. Now both teams are in an even state here. The strikes coming in could be huge for Shadow Warriors. Let's get that hammer online, see if it can take out the members of Push. You really need to flip this zone if you are Shadow Warriors. You do not want to drop this game. They're using the hammer, opting to paint the zone, and unfortunately they don't find the picks off that they need. We see another kamikaze splashdown coming out from Lanivo, and that's going to end out this set in favor of Push. That is seed 14 upsetting seed number 1 Nell. What a set to watch.
That was a very enjoyable set to watch and commentate with. Sorry, my cat is trying to get on my table. He's being
Pebbles is just excited. He wants to see the action for himself. He wants to be here for the moment.
He's being an absolute menace. But yeah, it was honestly, the teams are pretty evenly matched. I think that was a very beautiful, thing to end it on. We saw Push from Purdue University, seed 14 upsetting seed 1, and VCU Shadow Warriors, they really did their best. I think that they fought tooth and nail, and they just needed a little bit more playing together. And so now that we're going to end it off, where can we find you?
You can find me if, for whatever reason you want to. I'm unfortunately stuck on Twitter. I have not made a Blue Sky yet, so I'm Twitter at Raphayl. Where can the good people of CCA find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my username on Twitter or X is at the bottom. It's Nellfire with a 1, and on Blue Sky I am Nellfire with a 1 at bluesky.social. And so thank you so much for watching CCA. We love you so much. Be sure to tune in, I believe, tomorrow for another day of CCA goodness.